Huathan, an unfortunate child born in the twilight era of a decaying world. This place was once an incredibly prosperous continent where everyone was well-fed and content. But one day a mutilated face appeared from nowhere and with a single blow destroyed the very foundation of this continent. It was called a god. All the luxury and vanity of the world quickly collapsed like an illusion under the god's assault. To save itself, the world's own will devised a countermeasure. And so the child of destiny Huathan came into the world. He was fated to wander in solitude on a path to uncover the origin of that which was called a god. The heavy red rain poured down on the ruined rooftops. A vulture with a large beak relentlessly pecked at flesh, revealing white bone. It raised its head, looking around warily, its ghastly white eyes staring intently in one direction. Vultures are extremely wary creatures. If an attack fails, there won't be a second chance. Huathan's eyes were glued to it. The vulture lowered its head and continued its lavish meal. Huathan quickly rushed towards it, thinking to himself, "Now's the time." In his hand, he tightly gripped a pitch-black iron spike. The vulture, having just torn off some flesh, looked up as the spike flew through the air, impaling it from behind. The vulture's blood gushed out endlessly. It dripped down, mixing with the pitter-patter of the red rain. Huathan walked over, grasped the hilt of the spike, and forcefully pulled the black iron from its body. The vulture's blood splattered straight onto his face. Huathan stepped into a red puddle on the ground, walking alone under a gloomy sky filled with the flying fragments of the god's shattered stone head. Huathan silently recalled what the elders in the slums used to say, that a long, long time ago this world was prosperous and full of life, until that incomplete face brought destruction from the deepest parts of the distant void. Its breath spread across the world, withering plants and animals with its deathly touch. Huathan continued to remember. Even the places where cultivators took refuge to practice were infiltrated and defiled by it. All things withered, all living beings perished. Nothing was left after this first great catastrophe arrived. Countless centuries later, the survivors called it a god, and so the people bowed their heads and worshipped that head. Its eyes would suddenly glow, flashing with bolts of lightning. And every few years, every 15 years, or even after more than 100 years, the god would open its eyes and bring yet another disaster to the people of this land. And the area its eyes gazed upon would become a permanent forbidden zone. 9 days ago, the area it looked at was where Huathan lived. Huathan could only watch as everyone was burned to death by it. Under the god's gaze, some were instantly turned to blood and bone, some mutated into mindless beasts, and others had their souls completely shattered, leaving behind only a blue-black corpse. Huathan pulled his collar up high and muttered to himself, "It seems I've become the only survivor in this city." Huathan gritted his teeth, enduring the pain. A patch on his chest was slick with fresh blood. He panted heavily, thinking, "Tomorrow, no matter what. I have to get to the apothecary to see if there are any useful herbs." A purple light flashed in the distance, catching his attention. Huathan suddenly looked towards the corpse that was emitting that purple glow. He stared at the body, unable to hide his shock. Huathan was alarmed. "That purple light, I remember." It descended at the same time as the god's gaze. The area behind the god's stare will form a barrier for a certain period of time, preventing anyone inside from leaving, and anyone outside from entering. But once the blood rain stops, the barrier will dissipate. When that happens, scavenger crews from the surrounding areas will flock here to plunder this land for anything valuable. Huathan warily glanced at the half-face of the stone statue in the sky, then turned his head to look at the corpse behind him. He thought to himself, "If that purple light is a treasure, I have to get it. I've been watching for a long time, but this person hasn't moved at all if he's already dead. His body isn't blue-black. Then he must have been affected by that purple light. But if he's not dead, could this be a trap? I'll test it out. From this distance, if something happens, I can still get away." With that thought, he threw a rock at the corpse. The corpse, struck by the rock, fell backward. Behind it was a stone that glowed with an eerie purple light. Huathan saw it and rejoiced inwardly. "It is a treasure." He quickly dashed forward and snatched the stone. Panting, Huathan quickly ran far away. The corpse he had just pushed over instantly disintegrated into pulp. Huathan didn't stop running for even a second. He ran through the rain, thinking to himself, "I don't know why, but I feel much lighter on my feet." Huathan gripped the purple stone in his hand and told himself, "All right, first I need to protect this crystal before nightfall. I have to find a place to hide." Huathan quickly ducked under a collapsed roof. He used rocks to block all the openings. Large birds circled in the sky, crying out incessantly. Huathan held his iron spike, remaining ever vigilant. He dropped the iron spike in a panic. "That's right. My wound." Huathan clutched his chest, breathing with pained difficulty. He lifted his shirt. The wound which was bleeding before had now healed. He held the stone, suspicious. Could this thing not only preserve a corpse perfectly, but also quickly heal the wounds of the living? His gaze fell upon the bird sleeping soundly in his bag. He placed the stone on its wound, curious. I wonder if it has any other uses. The stone slowly sank into the bird's wound. A sudden flash of light healed it. The bird suddenly came back to life, struggling violently. Huathan held it tightly, panicking. This bird's strength! It's so powerful! I can barely hold on. Huathan kicked the bird hard in the stomach. He quickly used his knife to slit its throat. The bird fell to the ground in a pool of blood. Huathan retrieved the stone silent. The bird isn't dead, it's probably fine. With my current strength, I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on to this kind of bizarre treasure. He quickly pressed the stone to his chest, thinking, the best way is to hide it. And there is no safer place than within one's own body. The moment the stone was placed inside him, Shu Qing's flesh instantly healed. A blinding violet light erupted violently. Shu Qing was enveloped by an unknown power, leaving him utterly astonished. This is spiritual energy. Shu Qing touched the book, rejoicing inwardly. Finally, I can practice this cultivation technique, this sea and mountain art. I got this a few days ago while searching the city lord's house. The wound on my chest was from an aberrant beast that attacked me there. According to the bamboo slip, the stages of cultivation are divided into chi condensation, foundation establishment, core formation, and nascent soul, and there are 10 realms within this technique's manual, which is equivalent to 10 full levels of chi condensation. I tried cultivating a few days ago, but my speed was nothing like it is now. Shu Qing began to circulate his chi. I can feel some kind of impurities being expelled from my body. A violet light flashed in his eyes as his yin-yang eyes opened. Shu Qing slammed a fist into the ground, and the stone fragments in front of him were immediately blasted away. Shu Qing was a little surprised, unable to believe his eyes. He clenched his throbbing arm, inspecting it relentlessly. Shu Qing looked at the black dot on his arm and thought to himself, so this is the aberration point. It seems I've reached the first level of chi condensation. Because spiritual energy has been invaded by a divine aura, cultivators call this divine aura, that is, absorbed into the body along with spiritual energy, an aberrant substance. When this substance accumulates to a certain level, it will cause a cultivator to either undergo aberration or die violently, or they might become a mindless, aberrant beast. Therefore, through countless years of inherited knowledge, cultivation techniques have evolved to a point where they can separate the aberrant substance from the spiritual energy. Then it's compressed into a specific part of the body. That is why this is called an aberration point. According to the sea and mountain art, each time he advances a level, another aberration point will appear on his left arm. He was suddenly startled. That's right. Something's strange. Shu Qing focused, listening to the sounds outside. He wondered, why is it so quiet out there? He quickly ran out, alarmed. Even if those aberrant beasts are gone after sunrise, as long as the barrier that forms the forbidden zone is still up, the sound of rain should still be endless. A ray of sunlight shone straight into his eyes, forcing him to squint. Shu Qing stepped outside, looking up at the vast sky. Behind him were piles of withered human corpses. Shu Qing looked at the scene before him, gradually remembering. He had lived in a slum on the outskirts of this city for 6 years. This city was a place he had dreamed of every second of every minute for the past 6 years. Shu Qing's brows furrowed tightly, a heavy look in his eyes. He lifted a corpse and carried it on his back. Shu Qing blur-eyed everyone, telling himself, here I obtained a method of cultivation. Here I received the violet crystal. Here I survived. From now on, I will continue to live. The blazing torch in his hand fell, and a single spark gave everyone a final resting place. He was resolute. Until the day I die. Shu Qing bowed sincerely before the blaze. He watched the fire rage, saying softly, rest in peace. Shu Qing's eyes snapped open, full of vigilance. An axe was suddenly thrown straight at him. Seeing him, Tan Neo laughed maniacally. The man strode forward, his voice booming. I was wondering why on my way here. I didn't see a single corpse. Turns out it was you idiot, who gathered them all up for cremation. If you're that sentimental,
Yetwa Batkas Fatsumban
Boss. Then I'll help you out and bury you with them. The man swung his axe, charging at Shu Qing. An iron bar slid out from Shu Qing's sleeve, and he slashed it straight at the man. He spun around, pulled the dagger from his pouch, and rushed forward, plunging the blade straight into Tan Niu's crude foot. The man clutched his bloody foot, screaming in agony. Shu Qing quickly retrieved his dagger and took a guarded stance. Tan Niu swung his axe, screaming furiously, "You little brat, watch how I'm gonna finish you!" A stern voice called out from the distance, "That's enough!" A group of people walked toward Shu Qing. Captain Lei said grimly, "This kid is probably a survivor from the slums outside. Even the divine beings have spared him. So there's no need for you to act. Let's go." Shu Qing stared at them, stunned. "It's a scavenger squad." Tan Neo looked at Captain Lei behind him, startled. After the blood rain stopped, the barrier opened and the surrounding scavenger, the squads naturally started rushing in. He shouted in a panic, trying to explain, but the man's face darkened as he boomed, "Do I need to repeat myself?" Tan Yu obediently walked past the man and left. His hateful glare never left Shu Qing. He snorted angrily and departed. Captain Lei turned to him and said softly, "Young man, are you willing to leave this place with me?" Shu Qing's eyes widened as he looked at him, calculating internally. This person is very strange. He didn't say us, he only said me. I was originally planning to leave this place anyway, but going with this group is also a good option. He looked at Tan Niu's retreating figure, hesitant. It's just that Captain Lei's gaze was constantly sizing him up. Shu Qing frowned, unable to help but feel wary. He ignored the man's offer and started walking. The crimson sunset descended upon the mountainside. A heavy sleeping bag was placed in Shu Qing's arms. Captain Lei explained calmly, "Although we don't have a spare tent, you need to take this sleeping bag. You helped us find a lot of supplies in the city today, which is why we were able to leave so quickly. The incense can repel aberrant beasts, and the powder can ward off stranger ghouls. Besides, I'm here. Not even Tan Niu would dare to target you. Besides, even though he's injured, he still managed to grab the most loot in the city today, so I think he's preoccupied. I don't have the strength to cause you any more trouble. Just get some rest today." Night gradually fell, and insects began to stir, looking for food. Tan Yu was already asleep outside the tent when a dagger was suddenly stabbed through his neck. A cloth was immediately stuffed into his mouth, preventing him from screaming. Huathan stared down at him with cruel eyes, muttering nonstop, "Until all threats to me have disappeared." Tan Yu's pupils lost focus, his eyes turning white. He kept stabbing downwards, whispering, "I can't sleep soundly." Outside the tent, it was quiet. Everyone was fast asleep. Huathan opened a small paper packet. He looked at the snake's head with malicious intent. "All I need to do is prick him with the venomous fangs." His gaze fell upon Tan Yu's cold corpse. Huathan then dripped the snake's venom onto the man's body and thought to himself, "This should melt the corpse." Tan Yu's body dissolved into a puddle, leaving only white bones. Huatan's eyes were cold as he looked down. He closed the tent flap, whispering, "I've already dealt with all of his equipment. This way. I can make it look like he went missing." Huathan then crawled back into his sleeping bag and slept soundly. In the early morning, he was woken by a noise outside. Huathan looked into the distance and his expression immediately darkened. He panicked. That person's tent was gone. Huathan gripped his iron bar, frantic. "Who did this?" Captain Lei stood in the distance, calmly reassuring everyone. Tan Yu probably wanted more resources, so he left in the middle of the night without saying goodbye. We don't need to worry about him. Let's just head straight back to the camp. Huathan looked at his back, and his wariness faded. Captain Lei turned and calmly walked over to him. He looked down from above at Huathan's small body. Captain Lei spoke softly. "Do you still want to come with me now?" Huathan looked at him, hesitating for a moment. Finally, he picked up his sleeping bag and trudged after Captain Lei. A python bared its fangs and lunged at Huathan. He quickly threw a punch toward it. The python took the full force of the blow and immediately coiled up. Seeing that the python was on its back, Huathan took his dagger and slashed at its body. The python's pupils contracted relentlessly. Its heart was torn out. Huathan swallowed the python's heart whole. After cultivating for the past 2 days, the color of the mutation points on his body had grown darker and held a faint ache. He wiped away the blood, calmly watching its body fall. I heard the hunters from my old home say that the gallbladder of a giant horned python can help resolve a certain amount of contamination. A murmur went through the crowd. The giant horned python is dead just like that. This kid is so young, yet he was able to kill it. Do you guys know who he is? Who brought him here? Don't even think about messing with him. He's one of Captain Lay's people. Captain Lay is really lucky. To think he found a prospect like this. Huathan dragged the python's corpse from the arena. After that night, I followed Captain Lay for 7 days before we left that forbidden zone and arrived at the scavenger team's camp. Only after spending so many days in the forbidden zone did I realize it upon leaving. The inside and outside of the forbidden zone are like two different worlds. On this scavenger land there exists another forbidden zone. If they had a choice, no one would willingly live within a forbidden zone, a place where danger could strike at any moment. Only outcasts, driven by the need to survive, gather here with bloodshot eyes, struggling for survival with daggers at their sides. Captain Lay spoke softly. Congratulations. Kid, you've passed the camp's beast trial. You can stay here. He asked loudly, Then can I live at your place? The captain replied cheerfully, No. Huathan then offered the python to him, saying loudly, You said before that you like to eat snake meat, so please have this. Captain Lay couldn't help but laugh at his actions. His golden pupils were fixed on the boy as he muttered, When this kid killed that snake, his methods were quite ruthless. He chuckled to himself, his eyes filled with interest. How interesting. Captain Lay led him to a simple house. He opened a room and said softly, Kid, you'll live here from now on. First get yourself acquainted. I'll call you when it's time to eat. Huathan looked inside, his eyes lighting up. Not bad. A small, safe, private living space. The sound of cicadas outside echoed across the courtyard. The stone on his chest lit up, and spiritual energy emanated from it. Huathan sat cross-legged, the spiritual energy in his body surging. Huathan clenched his fist, thinking, A breakthrough, chi condensation level 2. Captain Lay called out from outside. Time to eat! Huathan walked out and stared wide-eyed at a lavish spread of food. He looked at the meat on the table and froze for a few seconds. Captain Lay said softly, Stop staring, sit down and eat. Huathan sat down, his eyes darting to an empty chair. He grew wary. Is someone else here? The captain reassured him. Don't be tense, it's just a habit of mine. Captain Lay looked at the chair and said softly, That person will never come again. The leaves outside rustled in the wind. Huathan grabbed a large handful of rice and shoved it into his mouth. Captain Lay picked up his chopsticks and offered them to the boy, saying softly, Use these. Huathan watched how he picked up each piece of food, then clumsily tried to copy his movements. With trembling hands, Huathan finally managed to pick up a piece of meat. Captain Lay looked at him and laughed heartily. He said softly, That python of yours. There's a lot of it. It should be enough to eat for half a month. The snake skin and bones are also quite valuable. Hearing this, Huathan kept stuffing rice into his mouth and said softly, The snake meat is a gift to thank you for the steamed bun and sleeping bag you gave me on the road. The snake skin and bones are to repay you for helping me cover up Tan Yu's death in the tent. I'll pay the rent for the room. You don't need to deduct it from that. Hearing this, Captain Lay couldn't help but nod. He calmly placed his chopsticks on the table. Captain Lay began his introduction softly. My squad's name is Thunder. There are 4 people in total. The other 3 are still on a mission and haven't returned yet. I'll introduce you to them when they get back. From now on, kid, you'll follow us. We'll survive, find resources, and train together. Shu Qing, stuffing his face, simply replied, Okay. Captain Lay was caught off guard and started coughing uncontrollably. He looked over at him confused, so the old man explained, Old folks, can't eat much. You finish the rest. In a few days, the rest of the team will be back. I'll take you on a trip to the Forbidden Zone. As Shu Qing watched his back, he thought, If I have to go to the Forbidden Zone, then I need to get stronger. Shu Qing threw punch after punch. Looking at his arm, he mused, Not bad. I can feel I've gotten quite a bit stronger. Captain Lay called out in a loud voice, Kid, come on out to the yard. Shu Qing slowly walked out of his room into the front yard. The captain had already set a table full of food and was waiting for him with a smile. These past few days, you've been using the excuse of buying new clothes to scout out the camp, haven't you? So, have you gotten used to the layout? He replied calmly. More or less. The old man said softly, Hungry. Don't be in a rush. Wait for them for a bit. He looked at his rice bowl, confused. Them, Could it be the members of Team Thunderbolt Mangui ran up cheerfully carrying his things? "Captain, I'm back." Shuqing stared at him alarmed. This presence. It's no weaker than that powerful mutant beast I encountered in the ruins. And the weight of those two things is probably even heavier than I am. Luan Ya stroked a lock of her hair and said in a sweet voice, "Boss." She and Shizi walked over to the table. Luan Ya looked curiously at Shuqing. His amber eyes glanced up at Shizi, whose somber face was sizing him up. Mangui said loudly, "Why didn't you come out with us for the trip to think you'd pick up another kid while we were gone?" Luan Ya chuckled teasingly. "You've still got it, Captain. Is this why—" "You called us back to let everyone know. You've been hiding a little seedling from us out here," he replied cheerfully. "He's not that young." Shuqing watched them with high alert. Sizing up each person's aura, he thought, these three are not weak, especially that guy with the bow and arrows on his back. Captain Lei handed him a bowl of rice and said softly, "Go on, eat first. We'll talk while we eat. Let me make some introductions. Mangui, 3rd level of body tempering born with immense strength. Luanya, 3rd level of chi condensation, can communicate with fierce beasts. Most of the stray dogs in the camp are her eyes and ears. Shizi Peak, 4th level of chi condensation, few can match him in the same realm. And this kid here is at the 2nd level of body tempering. The reason I called you all back is because the camp chief has issued a mission. Besides the usual payment, whichever side harvests the most 7-leaf grass will receive 3 dust cleansing pills. These pills are far superior to white pills. Our spot in the Forbidden Zone might be ready for harvest earlier than expected. What do you all think?" Everyone nodded. He said calmly, "If you all agree, then get ready. We'll leave after we finish eating. The kid is coming with us." Shuqing's brow furrowed, his mind racing. He clenched his fist, thinking, that's what Captain Lei mentioned. White pills are the basic elixir used by cultivators to refine the aberrant energy. This one is far superior to a white pill. I wonder if I can get one. Shizi suddenly spoke up. "Wait, Captain. 2nd level body tempering is too weak. We'd have to do the mission and babysit him." He looked at the boy and said loudly, "It's a liability." All eyes turned to the boy with interest. Captain Lei said softly, "Kid, you decide for yourself." Shuqing put down his chopsticks and stopped eating. He looked at Shizi with determination and said, "I can do it." Mangui looked at him a bit stunned. Luanya also hadn't expected him to be so resolute. Shuqing calmly picked up his bowl and took a sip of soup. Beside him, Captain Lei just chuckled. Amidst the desolate desert, the wind swirled, carrying away the haze. "Captain," Lei led the group to a stop before a cliff. The stray dogs began to yelp in a panic. Luanya looked down at them, cowering at her feet, confused. "What's wrong with you guys?" The strong smell of blood hit her nostrils. A figure sat in the distance, speaking in a loud voice. "Shan Shui of the Scavenger Sect." He was gnawing on some meat and chuckled softly. "The dogs you raise don't taste half bad." Shan Shui tossed this piece of meat in his hand, gloating, "I wonder what the meat on your body tastes like." Provoked, Luanya seethed, "You're asking to die!" Shizi glanced at her warily. He quickly drew his bow and aimed high. Shizi's arrow pierced a bird. The man behind Shan Shui was instantly grievously wounded. He clutched his throat, coughed up blood, and collapsed in pain. Shan Shui snorted coldly and stood up from the wolf carcass. He pointed provocatively at Captain Lei. Despite the provocation, Captain Lei remained as calm as ever. Luanya and Mangui were already in their fighting stances. The captain turned and signaled softly, "Let's go." She was stunned. "Boss." Luanya shot a furious glare at Shan Shui. Shuqing narrowed his eyes, looking at Shan Shui's group. He watched them intently, thinking, letting a tiger return to the mountains. A powerful bolt of lightning struck the gloomy forest. Captain Lei's team had now entered the forest. Everyone immediately became alert to their surroundings. Shuqing gripped his iron bar, remarking, "The murderous aura here is so heavy." A salamander suddenly scurried past him. Captain Lei said softly, "Kids, stay close to us. The paths here are extremely treacherous. You can't tell what's safe with the naked eye. If you're not careful and get separated, you'll become fertilizer for this place." He immediately replied, "I understand." "Captain Lei." Shizi looked over, nodded slightly as a signal, and then called out a reminder. "Watch your corruption level. You have to pay attention to the concentration of aberrant energy in the Forbidden Zone. Once you pass the basic corruption threshold, no one can save you." He then let out a sigh. Shizi handed Shu-Ching a pill and said in a low voice, "Put this in your mouth. It can suppress your corruption level." He quickly took it and said, "Thank you." Shizi suddenly turned his head immediately on alert. He drew his bow and shouted, "Something's here!" The howling of wolves echoed throughout the forest. The first ones began to approach them. They bared their fangs, their eyes glaring menacingly. Mangui grabbed his shield and leaped forward in alarm. "Model, aren't those black-scaled wolves supposed to live on the border between the Forbidden Zone and the outskirts? Why did they run all the way here?" Xing's face paled in panic. He looked at the red eyes in the distance, horrified. "There are over 100 of them deep inside." Captain Lei slammed his gauntlets together. In a stern voice, he said, "Everyone fall back, I'll hold them off." Shizi led everyone back, shouting, "Let's go." He was surprised to see Shu-Ching still standing there. Shizi immediately yelled, "Kid, Captain Lei is our leader. His strength, his decisiveness, and his judgment in the face of danger are all far beyond ours. Just standing there looking dazed will only drag him down." Mangui slammed his fist into a nearby tree. He quickly leaped up, signaling. First, they used the trees to form a defensive line. Captain Lei's fists began to descend, smashing straight into the ground. A wave of pressure sent the wolves flying. A wolf pounced at Captain Lei from behind. He relentlessly struck back at the hungry wolves. From up high, Shizi yelled a reminder to the kid. "Fall back. Your time to fight will come." Captain Lei swung his fist at the wolves behind him. An iron rod was thrown into Shu-Ching's hands. He quickly turned and dashed away in the blink of an eye. His small figure darted past Mangui. Shu-Ching watched Lon Ya continuously setting up formations and thought to himself, "I think I roughly understand their battle plan now." They each maintain a fixed distance to create an effect. This is to maximize their individual strengths, to weaken the wolf pack layer by layer. Shizi drew his bow and instructed, "Behind me. You're responsible for the area 200 Zhang out." He dashed off, replying swiftly, "Got it." A large horde of wolves viciously pursued Captain Lei. He sped up, continuously rushing forward. A crazed wolf bared its fangs and leaped. One by one, they went berserk, relentlessly throwing themselves at Captain Lei. From behind, Mangui raised his club right after the captain passed. He struck a heavy blow, sending the wolves reeling backward. A ferocious one lunged from behind, trying to bite him. An arrow from the distance shot straight through it. Mangui smiled and looked back. Shizi silently breathed a sigh of relief. He continued to draw his bow. Lon Ya saw Mangui nod at her and thought, blocking the wolf pack in waves. Not only can we repeat the process, but it also gives each person time to rest. Fighting like this in the Forbidden Zone is the only way to prevent everyone from being consumed by mutation at the same time. This kind of synergy and responsibility. So this is Captain Lei's scavenger team, huh? The ferocious wolves advanced wave after wave. Shizi quickly flew past Shu-Ching's ambush spot. He yelled out, "Kid!" Before he could finish his sentence, Shu-Ching had already charged forward with the iron rod. Shizi looked at the iron rod right next to him, shocked. Shu-Ching nimbly stabbed a wolf to death behind his back. He said in a loud voice, "I can handle this." Shizi looked at the fallen wolf behind him, a bit startled. Shu-Ching gripped the iron rod firmly in his hand. Another black wolf was finished off by him. The wolves from behind bared their fangs and lunged. Shu-Ching immediately swung the iron rod behind him. The wolves were instantly taken down by him. Blood stained the blunt iron rod in his hand. The vicious eyes of the pack were fixed on him. Shu-Ching was like a machine mowing them all down. Resting on a high branch, Shizi remarked in awe, "No wonder he's the one the boss has his eye on." A wolf from the pack bared its fangs. Its eyes bulged threateningly. Shu-Ching clutched his chest in alarm. "The purple crystal can restore my stamina and heal my wounds, but it can't replenish the spirit energy I've lost. Luckily, I'm a body refiner. Even without spirit energy, I can still keep fighting. The stinging sensation from the mutation point on my hand is getting more and more intense." Captain Lei, hiding in a corner, he couldn't help but panic, reminding him, "Kid, fall back!" Shu-Ching clutched his painful arm and collapsed to his knees. In the wolf's eyes, there was only his exhausted figure. It bared its sharp fangs and swiftly pounced. Shu-Ching held the iron rod, a resentful glint in his eyes. "You're looking for death." He forcefully stabbed the iron rod into its head and wrestled it to the ground. The wolf in bone-deep agony collapsed. Shu-Ching looked on, confused. "Did I imagine that?" He stared in shock at the black-scaled wolf's corpse this time. Shu-Ching panicked. "The shadow. It's melting." He looked towards his own shadow. Shu Qing gritted his teeth in confusion. The wolf's shadow drifted through the air, hovering around him. Shu Qing fell to his knees in panic. He was shocked. What's going on? An evil thought. Is it devouring my body? How can a skill like this exist? Shu Qing's pupils contracted non-stop. In the distance, a bolt of lightning struck down, jolting him back to his senses. Shu Qing looked at the wolves, panting heavily. He touched his chest silently, thanking the stone. Good thing it's here. The stone glowed with a bewitching purple light. Captain Lei reached a hand out to him and said softly, "Kid, you did well. Hurry and fall back to rest. The black-scaled wolves live deep in the forbidden zone. They like places with dense aberration matter. They won't like the thin aberration matter out here. If we hold out long enough, they'll leave on their own." Manhwa watched Shu Qing dash away, alarmed. "Are you still okay?" He immediately replied, "I'm fine." Shu Qing's hand was suddenly forced out by a controlling force. Lon Ya tossed a pouch into his hand, saying loudly, "Take this, you'll need it." He grabbed it and replied, "Thanks." Shu Qing quickly flew past Shizi. Shizi frowned, following his figure. Shizi reminded him softly, 200 zhong. Shu Qing stopped in a deserted corner of the forest. He poured a few white pills out of the pouch. Shu Qing sat cross-legged and told himself, "I have to seize this time and recover quickly." Half a shiken later, the sky was gloomy without a trace of light. His brow furrowed in confusion. He was bewildered. Strange. The aberration matter inside me doesn't seem to be fluctuating at all. Shu Qing let out a long, frustrated sigh. He rolled up his sleeve and couldn't help but be stunned. One of the mutation points is gone. During the previous battle, clearly both mutation points were causing that stinging sensation. The effect of the white pills is just to restore aberrant energy. Moreover, my strength is still at the second level of body refinement. How strange could it be? This has something to do with the crystal that devoured that shadow. Puzzled, Shu Qing touched the stone embedded in his chest, unable to help, but wonder what on earth this purple crystal was. And what was that shadow with its evil, invasive aura? Cross suddenly rushed over, shouting, "Kid!" Shu Qing quickly stood up. With unwavering determination, he watched the wolf pack ahead on high alert. "Whatever it is," Cross said as he ran past, tossing an iron rod to him. Shu Qing quickly caught the iron rod he was given. He charged straight into the pack of wolves, yelling at the top of his lungs, "Bring it on!" Shu Qing told himself that in this moment, nothing else mattered. The cold moonlight illuminated a patch of the desolate forest. The alpha wolf, its eyes bloodshot, bared its fangs and glared. Captain Lei's imposing stare made them tuck their tails and tremble. Though unwilling, the wolf pack had no choice but to retreat. Luan Ya collapsed onto the ground, letting out a sigh of relief. She looked over at Shu Qing and exclaimed, "We finally made it out alive." Luan Ya looked at him and said softly, "Thank you." Manhwa gently nudged Shu Qing's shoulder, praising him. "You're really something. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid some of us would have already mutated." Shu Qing stood there silently, gazing ahead. Exhausted, he sank to the ground next to Luan Ya. Shu Qing looked at the sky, thinking to himself that the rate at which aberrant substances were accumulating in his body was much slower than normal. Moreover, the aberrant substances already in his body were gradually disappearing. "I don't know if this is a blessing or a curse." Captain Lei's voice suddenly turned serious. "Everyone take out everything you're carrying and check it. I suspect that the black-scale wolves specifically targeting us was a setup." Lon Na laid out several talismans, then looked up, startled. "That wooden box." Manhwa was also completely taken aback. "Why is this thing corroding on its own?" She picked up the wooden box, examining every nook and cranny. Lon Ya reported in a loud voice, "Something's strange here." Captain Lei turned his gaze toward Manhwa and demanded, "Where did you get this thing?" He explained nervously, "I bought it from a stall in the encampment on my way back. It has insect-repelling powder inside." Lon Na explained loudly, "The wooden box is made from rabbit droppings. It will spontaneously combust when it comes into contact with external agents, and it can attract scaly creatures. The black-scale wolf is a type of scaly creature." As she said this, Manhwa started to feel itchy. Everyone's resentful gazes fell upon him. Overwhelmed, Manhwa stammered, unable to speak. This... Captain Lei clapped him on the shoulder and said gently, "Manhwa, you were tricked. To be able to set a trap like this within the encampment, it's very easy to guess who it was." Manhwa looked behind him and the captain shook his head, signaling him. Cross gritted his teeth and growled, "The Blood Shadow Squad." For the Blood Shadow Squad to set up something like this? It's hard to say they don't have a follow-up move. Besides, considering our current state. Captain Lei frowned on high alert. In that case, we'll continue with the original gathering mission. Then we'll withdraw from this place. Cross looked at him doubtfully. Captain, isn't this place still very far from our gathering point? Besides, everyone has suffered heavy losses this time. If we go back empty-handed like this... Captain Lei took a deep breath, composing himself. He spread his arms wide. All right, we'll keep moving forward. Once we reach the collection point, we must harvest quickly, and then everyone will split up in different directions. Then leave and regroup at the encampment. The team quickly arrived at a desolate area of the forest. The seven-leaf grass at their feet glowed with a soft light. Shu Qing looked around, surprised. Is this the seven-leaf grass they're growing? I'm not sure why. But I feel like I'm about to have a breakthrough. This is a good opportunity to cultivate a bit. The flow of energy in his body gradually spread out. A purple light flashed in Shu Qing's eyes. Third level of the sea and mountain art. He looked around and thought to himself, I've broken through to the third level of the sea and mountain art. Shu Qing suddenly froze, murmuring, It's just that... His gaze fell downwards, his brows furrowed tightly. Shu Qing was shocked. It seems like my shadow has devoured that aberrant substance from me. Shu Qing stood in place. His eyes were glued to the ground. Captain Lei walked over and handed him a pouch, saying softly, This is your share, after you take it, and everyone can disperse and leave. Inside here is a piece of demon eye scorpion amber. Its venomous tail is sealed inside. The venom from that tail can be neutralized after being poisoned. The user can instantly unleash their own potential, but it can't be maintained for long. After the outburst, the user needs to be detoxified immediately. Take it for self-defense. Don't let anyone else see it. It's very expensive. Shu Qing immediately bowed politely in thanks. Thank you very much. Cross came up from behind and patted Shu Qing's shoulder lightly, reminding him, Take care. We'll meet at the encampment. He watched the silhouettes of Captain Lei and the others gradually disappear into the distance. Shu Qing murmured softly, I should still wait until I get back to study this. Half a day later, he climbed a tree and looked at the frenzied beasts below, thinking to himself, Luckily, they didn't spot me. A blood-curdling scream echoed from behind. Shu Qing jumped down and quickly rushed over, wondering, Man Gui! He stopped on a large tree branch, his eyes. Shu Qing's amber eyes stared intently into the distance. He looked at the corpses of ghouls and humans scattered across the ground and thought, It seems Manhwa and Captain Lei have run into the Blood Shadow Squad's ambush. Captain Lei warily watched the two people in front of him. Shu Qing scanned the scene, calculating. Two main fighters facing Captain Lei. One is at the 6th level of chi condensation. One is at the 5th level. The three people blocking Captain Lei's path have strength equivalent to Lone Nuz. Equivalent to the 3rd level. All right, I'll take out the 3 3rd-level guys first. Then I'll use my spiritual energy to wear down the 5th-level one. After all, I have the purple crystal, so I'm not afraid of being drained. As long as the 5th-level guy dies from mutation, the last one remaining can be left for Captain Lei to handle. With that thought, he quickly leaped down onto a sharp iron bar, throwing it toward them. The bar pierced through the head of one of them as Shu Qing landed a blow on the stomach of the man in front of him. His eyes quickly darted behind him as he threw a dagger, piercing the man's head. Shu Qing stood amidst the 3 lifeless corpses, thinking to himself, It seems I still am. Underestimating the people from the Thunder Squad. Captain Lei frantically turned his head, warning the boy to run. Shu Qing shifted his gaze to Huoya. Zhui He commanded in a stern voice, Kill him! Huoya laughed gleefully. Kid, I admit you're pretty impressive for taking out 3 guys in an instant. It's just a pity you're not one of us. Shu Qing rushed forward, telling himself, The first to strike gains the advantage. The man looked at his small figure and sneered, You don't know your own limits. Just as Shu Qing lunged to attack him, Huoya's flesh was incredibly hard. It made his arm ache in pain. Shu Qing panicked and quickly pulled his arm back. He added more force, rapidly striking the man. But with just a flick of his fingers, Huoya sent an explosion that blasted him far away. Shu Qing was thrown backward. As he regained his senses, Huoya gloated, You're just a body cultivator. You're not worthy of fighting a Dharma cultivator, let alone one who's only at the 3rd level. And yet you dare to dream of challenging someone with my 5th-level strength. How foolish. Shu Qing clutched the arm he had just used to attack the man. Huoya remarked, You really are harsh on yourself. Suahe kept urging Huoya on. Hurry up. the man replied calmly. Understood, Captain. This brat will surely turn into a dried-up corpse under my fireball attack. Huoya raised his hand and cast a fireball spell. He commanded 3 fireballs to launch toward Shu Qing. With his quick agility, he swiftly dodged them. Huoya laughed triumphantly. Don't waste your energy. You can't escape. Shu Qing quickly grabbed a corpse and threw it directly at a fireball. The fireball immediately expanded, incinerating the corpse within. Shu Qing leaped up to dodge, thinking to himself, this fireball burns incredibly fast. Huoya looked at him with excitement and shouted, It's too late! Seeing the green light just inches away, he panicked. How can this be? The fireball slammed right into Shu Qing. An explosion erupted and a thick green smoke spread out. Huoya looked on with contempt. So this is all the Thunder Squad amounts to. Shu Qing angrily shot forward. Who said that? Huoya quickly turned around. In front of him was a thick fog and the shattered pieces of a barrier. Suddenly, from within the fog, 2 swords shot out. Before Huoya could understand what was happening, the 2 swords had already pierced through his body. Shu Qing immediately jumped back, carefully observing him, inwardly fuming. This guy is a real cockroach, he just won't die. You little brat, I'll pull out your teeth one by one and turn them into my trophies. A short while after Huoya's challenge, the surrounding space was a mix of Shu Qing's green smoke and Huoya's gray smoke. Shu Qing charged forward. Let's see which of us gives out first. A loud crash rang out as Huoya's barrier shattered again. He began to feel afraid. Damn it, is he a monster? Why haven't his speed and strength decreased at all? At this rate, my spiritual energy will be depleted by him sooner or later. I need to think of a way to finish this for good. Immediately, Huoya slammed his fist into his own chest. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood into his palm. Scorching flames from the depths of hell, I command you to heed my summons. Become the sharp sword in my hand and destroy all that stands in my way. Die for me. Shu Qing thought to himself. He's reached his limit. Now it's my turn to counterattack. He quickly reached out and grabbed a nearby shield. Shu Qing turned it towards Huoya to receive his attack. As soon as the attack hit the shield, Shu Qing leaped away. He ran as fast as he could towards Huoya. The man panicked and clenched his hand. Blood blades. Hundreds of blue strands shot out everywhere, but Shu Qing had already reached him. Huoya couldn't believe his eyes. How does he still have the strength to charge through that? Shu Qing gritted his teeth and struck the enemy's chest with all his might. Then he immediately leaped backward. Huoya's body gradually became still. Shu Qing looked at his own 2 palms. Luckily, I still had what the serpent head left me, and also the amber that Captain Lei gave me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had any strength left to strike just now. Huoya clutched his wound in pain. Captain, save me! Captain Lei immediately blocked his path. Your opponent is me. Shui glared at him angrily, secretly worried about his comrade. Huoya's body began to swell up like a balloon, and then it suddenly burst apart. Shui, he cried out in horror. Huoya! The surrounding area was now stained crimson by a rain of blood. Shu Qing coldly turned his head and threatened, Now it's your turn. Silence fell over the 3 of them. Shu Qing coldly advanced towards Shui He. He immediately took the opportunity to punch Captain Lei, and then Shui. He quickly fled. Captain Lei raised his hand to stop Shu Qing. Don't chase him. There's no one left in the Blood Shadow Squad. He can't do anything by himself. Shu Qing angrily replied, He's a hidden threat. I can kill him. Suddenly, Captain Lei coughed up a large mouthful of blood in pain. Shu Qing worriedly supported his body. What's wrong with you? Captain Lei mumbled. This red sky. It's too strange. I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. The space around them gradually grew bizarre. A red mist grew thicker, and singing could be heard. The forest before them was now shrouded in the red mist. Shu Qing muttered in astonishment. Red mist and singing. So cold. I'm clearly at the 3rd level of body cultivation model, and yet I'm completely unable to withstand this cold. His gaze suddenly fell upon Huathan, who was standing in front of him. He wasn't running anymore. Was it because he was frozen solid? Up ahead, Huathan was trying to run, but the red mist quickly touched him. From all over his face, a white smoke began to pour out. The smoke gradually dissipated, and Huathan immediately collapsed backward. The red mist quickly passed through him. It swept over the pile of corpses, causing those who had fallen to leave only their clothes behind. Huathan's body also quickly turned into black dust and blew away. Huathan was immediately terrified of this strange mist. A girl's pair of red boots and her singing voice approached from the distance. She stopped not far from Huathan and Captain Loy. Huathan felt as if he was seeing a glowing red orb. It glowed in front of the boots. He and Captain Loy watched her silently for a moment. The red boots continued to walk forward. Captain Loy suddenly felt a bit suspicious. "Dao Hong, is that you?" Dao Hong immediately froze. Captain Loy slowly moved away from Huathan. He knelt on the ground and held out his hands towards Dao Hong. "You've come back." Captain Loy's hands quickly caressed something in the empty air. Tears immediately streamed down his face, full of emotion. Although Captain Loy was crying, his face seemed somewhat relieved. "Huathan?" It stood to the side, watching the conversation between Dao Hong and Captain Loy. A moment later, Dao Hong returned towards the forest. From within the woods, the strange singing echoed out again. Huathan felt the sensation slowly returning to his hands. He could move them again. It seems it has really left. He quickly approached Captain Loy, who was still crying. Huathan looked up at the fiery red sky. The red mist was gradually fading. Captain Loy spoke up. "Kid, isn't it strange? The song of this forbidden zone is demonic. Everyone who hears it dies. And I'm one of the very few who have survived its song. Those who survive receive a gift from this forbidden zone. The next time you hear that song, kid, you'll see the person you most want to meet in your life. I used to think it was just a legend, and because of this legend, I waited silently in the camp outside for 15 years until my hair turned gray. It wasn't until today that I finally saw her. But even after seeing her in the end, it's just emptiness." Huathan thought to himself, "I also have someone I really, really want to see, but I can't meet the person I want to see right now. But at least the departed can rest in peace." Captain Loy spoke up. "But scavengers don't need tombstones. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This is the life of a scavenger. While alive, we struggle against the world. After death, we don't need offerings. Silence is enough." He wearily leaned his body against a nearby tree. Huathan quickly walked over. "Captain, I'll carry you out." Captain Loy immediately let the boy carry him on his back. Huathan's face was resolute, his eyes filled with determination. And so, carrying Captain Loy, he started to walk out of the forbidden zone. At first, Huathan was worried that the dense fog inside would affect Captain Loy, so he tried to avoid it. But it was impossible to escape. Moreover, he was surprised to find that the purple crystal on his chest had the ability to dispel the fog. From then on, he would have to rely on this ability to guide the lost scavengers out of the forbidden zone in exchange for the white pills they carried. Fortunately, thanks to those white pills, Captain Loy was able to hold on until they left the forbidden zone. After they got out, Thaptu and Lon Nya were there. "We'll go find someone who can treat Captain Loy." Thaptu quickly led him to a tent. "This is Grandmaster Bok's tent. He's in there. Captain Loy will be fine." Inside the tent, Grandmaster Bok was washing his hands in a basin. He quickly looked up to observe the people who had just entered his tent. Dinguk, sitting nearby gently, nodded and smiled in greeting at Huathan. Grandmaster Bok was still silently observing him. Huathan thought to himself, "He's staring at me. I remember back in the slums, the teacher looked at me just like this. It always made me so tense." Grandmaster Bok spoke, giving a command. "Put him down!" Huathan quickly laid Captain Loy on the floor. Captain Loy opened his eyes with a start. "Where is this?" Grandmaster Bok's voice rang out heavy with authority. "Lie still." Captain Loy hurriedly sat up. "This little wound isn't worth bothering Grandmaster Bok over. I'm fine." Grandmaster Bok was surprised. "You recognize me?" Captain Loy replied. "Many years ago, I had the chance to see Grandmaster Bok from a distance." Grandmaster Bok commented on the wounds. "Your recent injuries are not serious. The foreign substance in your body has also been eliminated. It's nothing. Mental exhaustion and such. That's fine, it can be treated. However, you have many hidden injuries. Furthermore, your foundation has been destroyed, and your cultivation was relearned when your internal energy was nearly depleted. This old man can't do anything to help. This medicine won't cure you. It can only help you cling to life. You must remember from now on you cannot continue to cultivate or meditate. Otherwise, your hidden injuries will relapse, and you will surely die." Captain Loy replied respectfully. "Then thank you very much, Grandmaster Bok." He quickly walked out of the tent. "Huathan Thaptu Lon Nya, let's go." Scene changed to another location. Captain Loy was holding a pipe. He contentedly exhaled a long puff of smoke. "In the forbidden zone, I wanted to smoke, but couldn't." Model. "After coming back, just taking one drag of this stuff makes me feel so much better. It really is more effective than any other medicine." Huathan's face showed a bit of worry. Captain Loy quickly ruffled his hair. What do you want to eat today, kid? I'll make you a meal. Let's have a drink together, okay? Huathan immediately replied, snake meat. Captain Loy chuckled. Those guys in the camp, every single one of them is cunning. You don't know much about the mutant beasts in the Forbidden Zone, so you're easy to trick. You'll easily get pressured into buying something. It's better if I go. Huathan quickly drew his weapon. They won't. Captain Loy didn't answer. He quickly walked out the gate. Huathan went inside the house. He sat down on a chair inside his face, showing a hint of complex emotions. Huathan took out another bowl and placed it on the table. On the table were simple dishes with 3 bowls and 3 pairs of chopsticks. Captain Loy called out excitedly, Kid, you're in for a treat today? Come see what I got. This is a safflower snake. The meat on this snake is absolutely amazing. In a bit, I'll show you how to prepare it properly. Huathan quickly came out of the room. He looked at him silently. Captain Loy nodded cheerfully. Want to learn how to grill snake meat? Huathan nodded his head repeatedly. I do. Captain Loy laughed loudly. All right, kid, come over here, I'll teach you. He took out a knife and quickly sliced open the snake's belly. After cleaning the snake like I just did, you gut it. Take out the organs and then cut it into sections to cook. Captain Loy immediately cut the entire snake into small pieces. Normally, you should chop off the snake's head and tail. The tail is where it excretes from, so it needs to be removed. But if you properly remove the venom glands in the head, that part is edible and can be used to enhance the dish's flavor. You have to remember this, kid. Whether the meat leaves an unforgettable aftertaste. I or not depends on the broth. It's even better if you stir-fry the snake meat first before adding it to the soup. Captain Loy turned his head and asked, Got it. A moment later, he took out a flask. There's no shortage of meat in the camp, but this wine is a rare thing. Captain Loy quickly poured the wine into his mouth. Immediately, he began to hum contentedly. Huathan watched his expression with surprise. Is it really that good? Curious, he poured Captain Loy's wine into his mouth. Instantly, Huathan stuck out his tongue and coughed. This doesn't taste good at all. Captain Loy smiled. You're still too young, kid. You can't appreciate the taste of wine yet. When you're older, you'll definitely like it. He placed the pot of soup on the table. Huathan's face immediately lit up with anticipation. Captain Loy slowly lifted the lid off the soup pot. A delicious aroma wafted up to Huathan's nose. He immediately used his chopsticks to pick up a piece of meat from the soup. Huathan quickly put the piece of snake meat into his mouth. Captain Loy thoughtfully watched him enjoy the food. He's still just a kid after all. It's a shame he has to live in this cruel world. Huathan looked up and asked, Your wound? Captain Loy laughed. It's fine. I've lived with it for so many years. It's not going to kill me that easily. No, it's really fine. We finished the snake and we've had our drinks. I'm going to bed first. Just leave all this stuff. You can clean it up tomorrow. Huathan silently watched Captain Loy's back as he gazed at the sunset. The aura of vitality around Captain Loy seemed to have been stolen away by those red shoes. He couldn't help but feel a little worried for him. The scene changes to the next day. Snow had covered everything in white. Huan Yi's voice called out, Benefactor, hello. Huathan turned his head in surprise. He saw the little girl waving from across the street. Huathan quickly walked over to her. You are... Huan Yi looked surprised. Benefactor, have you forgotten? At the beast arena, I drew the horned python, but you were the one who signed in my place. Huathan suddenly remembered. Oh, it's you, Huan Yi continued shyly. But if I had to face another ferocious beast, I wouldn't have escaped with my life so easily. What would you like to buy? I'll get it for you. Huathan replied, White pills. The little girl immediately ran inside the house. Wait a moment, I remember it was here. Why can't I find it? A moment later, the little girl exclaimed, Found it! Huan Yi quickly ran back out carrying a small bag. The boss has a rule we only sell 5 pills a day, so I can't give you any more. I'm really sorry. Huathan carefully observed the white pill in his hand. The one you gave me is very high quality. Won't the boss scold you? Huan Yi replied happily. Don't worry, this is within my authority. Huathan replied, Thanks. The little girl smiled. It's a small thing, no need to thank me. I'm the one who should be thanking you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be alive right now. Oh, right. Yesterday I heard the boss say that a lot of young people from the camp have gone missing inside the Forbidden Zone. From the look on the boss's face then, I feel like the reason isn't some hidden danger in the Forbidden Zone. It seems more like it was caused by people. Huathan fell into thought at the little girl's warning. Huan Yi cried out urgently, "Benefactor, you have to be careful." Startled, Huathan replied, "Thanks for the warning." Huan Yi happily waved goodbye to Huathan. Then she went back to her work, sweeping the snow. Huathan observed the scar on the little girl's face, feeling silently surprised for a long moment. I remember Captain Loy said that in the Forbidden Zone near the shrines, there are many 7-colored stones that can remove scars. If I get the chance, I have to find one for her. The sound of dogs barking echoed from inside the gate. Chusing stood outside, surprised, watching the pack of dogs. When he turned back, he discovered that Shizi and Loan Na had also arrived. Worried about Captain Lei's safety after his injury, they brought 10 fierce dogs with them. The 2 of them had also bought a month's supply of medicine for Captain Lei. Furthermore, they had gone to collect their payment for harvesting the 7-leaf grass. Because Man Gui had no family, Loan Na divided the original 5 shares of the reward into 4. As for the unexpected reward, the Qingchen Pil Captain Lei had given it to Shu Qing. Shizi spoke up. "Kid Loan Na and I have accepted a mission. We have to go out for a while. We're leaving the captain in your care during this time. Hey, your dagger is all rusted. Switch to this one. It's really sharp." Loan Na quickly handed him a whistle. "Kid, your combat strength is impressive, but you still need eyes and helpers, right? This whistle can easily control the stray dogs in the camp. You can blow it when you need to. They're very smart and will know what to do immediately." Shizi cupped his hands together with a look of respect. Surprised, Shu Qing looked up at him. Loan Na and Shizi spoke in unison. "We're counting on you to take care of the captain." Then the 2 of them quickly walked out of the gate to set off on their mission. Shu Qing glanced at the pack of stray dogs who were wagging their tails in a friendly manner. I should also go out and get some things done. The scene shifts far away outside the Forbidden Zone. The Heaven's Mandate flower, also known as the Life Continuation Divine Spirit Grass, is a variant of the herb Rhizophora stylosa, a plant belonging to the herb family. There are 73 recorded variants of this mutated species, but only the first variant has medicinal value. It grows anywhere within the Forbidden Zone following no discernible pattern. Furthermore, it is extremely rare. Its effects include the ability to regenerate severed limbs and revive those on the brink of death. It can heal any injury except for wounds to the spiritual soul. After Shizi and Loanya left, Shu Qing went to find Master Bai to ask if there was any medicine that could treat Captain Lei's old wounds. He told him about the Heaven's Mandate flower, so Shu Qing decided to go to the Forbidden Zone to find it. And while he was at it, also look for the 7-colored stone that could remove his scar. Master Bai's pharmacology lectures are really interesting, Shu Qing thought to himself. If I have the chance in the future, I have to listen to more of them. The forest was beginning to turn to late afternoon, but Shu Qing continued to walk. Without stopping to rest, he had already been searching in the Forbidden Zone for several days. But he hadn't found the 7-colored stone or the Heaven's Mandate flower. So he searched relentlessly, crossing the gorge where he had first picked the 7-leaf grass and venturing into an even deeper area than before. Black crows were circling a giant Buddha statue. Shu Qing bowed his head and knelt before it. I wonder if in 1,000 years people who enter this Forbidden Zone will be as cautious as I am now, or if they'll just see this fortress as a piece of history. After entering the temple complex, he continued deeper inside. But the concentration of the aberrant substance inside was extremely high, making Shu Qing feel it was incredibly dangerous. Therefore, he decided to retreat before nightfall and find a temple to spend the night. This temple was quite deserted. Inside, there were a few droppings from aberrant beasts. If there were too many or none at all, it would prove that this place was unusual. Having just a little meant it was relatively safe. He didn't know why, but Shu Qing always felt that his cultivation speed was faster than normal inside the Forbidden Zone. After the energy of this aberrant substance was absorbed by him, it was separated by the sea and mountain art. The pure portion went to nourish his body, while the aberrant portions, palm, seemed to have merged into his shadow. Shu Qing let out a long breath of vapor. It's here again, this cold feeling. For the past few days in the Forbidden Zone, every night, Shu Qing could feel many footsteps outside his hiding place, as if many people were walking around him. But fortunately, the footsteps weren't accompanied by singing like when he encountered those red shoes before. So this cold only made him feel unwell. It wasn't so bad as to make him lose the ability to move. Outside the temple, black shadows began to appear. They gathered around the temple, growing more numerous. Xuxing felt anxious. The number today seemed abnormally high. The footsteps outside grew more and more frantic, but based on his experience handling similar situations, the best approach was to restrain his own curiosity and agitation. Don't look, don't touch, don't ask for anything. A black foot suddenly stepped into the temple. Xuxing immediately realized something had come inside. Night was gradually falling. Outside the temple, dozens of black shadows appeared. One of them stood motionless in the middle of the courtyard. Hiding behind a large rock, Xuxing felt a surge of anxiety. What do I do now if I'm discovered? How will I escape? But even if I escape from the one inside this temple, what about the ones outside the door? Suddenly, a ray of light shone out. Xuxing quickly shut his eyes. Light! He slowly opened his eyes and looked around. Before him was a stream of light. A powerful golden light was covering the entire temple. It emanated from the statues placed around the room. The statue of a hero holding a sword in the very center emitted the most powerful light. Xuxing was both astonished and immediately on high alert. The surrounding black shadows were gradually drawn to the light. A white mist suddenly appeared around the statues. A statue up above slowly began to show signs of movement. The black shadow below let out a roar. The statue calmly walked to the center of another magic circle on the floor. The statue of the sword-wielding god began to stir. It shook its body slightly and then stood up straight. The sword-wielding divine statue began to slowly descend the steps. A moment later, it stood before the dark shadow. It raised its sword high, a golden aura enveloping the blade. Then a golden ray of light shot through the space. The divine statue had just unleashed a powerful attack towards its enemy. The shadow gradually revealed itself to be an undead creature. It was stunned by the attack. Its face quickly became distorted by the slash. The beam of light from the slash continued onward swiftly, erasing all the dark shadows inside the temple. Then it shot outside, dispelling the darkness. The other undead creatures barely had time to look up before they were disintegrated. The sky returned to its previous darkness. Inside the temple, a crack was now visible on the wall. The divine statue now sat motionless on its throne in the distance, and the light surrounding the other statues had also gone out. The surrounding space fell into silence. Xuxing still couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. After a moment, he slowly stepped out from his hiding spot. Xuxing slowly walked towards the divine statue. He quickly searched for something in his bag. A moment later, Xuxing placed a lit candle on the steps. He clasped his hands together and silently thanked the divine statue. Then he quickly turned and left the temple. As Xuxing walked alone through the forest, he thought to himself, although I didn't find the Heaven's Mandate flower or the seven-colored stone, deep inside the divine temple I found quite a few aged seven-leaf herbs. Captain Lei once told me that the older the seven-leaf herb, the more valuable it is. On the way back, the sword strike unleashed by the divine statue kept replaying in my mind. Every time it appeared, I would simulate it, and with each simulation, my cultivation level seemed to advance a little more, just like that without even realizing it. The sea mountain art had ascended to the 4th level. This advancement not only caused his strength and speed to soar, but even his spirit seemed to have a breakthrough. Xuxing quickly lunged forward. He then raised his right hand, mimicking the divine statue's fighting style. Xuxing slashed forward forcefully. A blue beam of light shot out quickly, splitting into multiple slashes in midair. Xuxing felt overjoyed at his achievement. The scene changes to another location. At a house where a light was still on, Xuxing quickly stepped inside. Captain Lei spoke up, "You're back just in time for dinner." Xuxing thought to himself, Captain Lei looks very tired, as if he hasn't been resting well. He immediately noticed the table full of food next to him. "Does he prepare a full meal and wait for me every day?" Captain Lei asked worriedly. "Did you run into any danger in the Forbidden Zone this time?" Xuxing replied, "No. It's just that when I entered the Divine Temple area, I encountered some strange things, but they were all destroyed by a sword-wielding divine statue," Captain Lei mumbled. "I didn't expect you to have such a fortunate encounter. I've heard others talk about this before, just like that singing voice. They're all passed down legends. Now that I think about it, this legend seems to have appeared not long after that singing voice was first heard." Xuxing immediately looked up at him. Captain Lei said reassuringly, "Look at you. I was just remarking on it. Don't be so tense. This kid is too sensitive. I'm not as weak as you think." He then quickly poured a cup of water and waited for Xuxing to finish his meal. The scene changes to early the next morning. Shu Qing was observing, his own face in a wash basin. He was silent and hesitant for a moment. Shu Qing's face was a bit tense. Then Shu Qing quickly picked up the basin and began to wash his face. A moment later, he arrived at Master Bai's tent. The master's voice could be heard from inside. Clear river flower dew, also known as green lotus dew, is the flower bud of a lotus species belonging to the water lily family. Zhu Xing was secretly pleased. I made it just in time for the lecture. My timing was perfect. He diligently took notes on Master Bai's lecture. Combined with a special low-heat brewing method, you can extract an aromatic liquid. Its properties help nourish the lungs and treat hemoptysis. A moment later, a weary Master Bai stepped out of the tent. Shu Qing was startled and immediately hid the scroll of paper behind his back. He observed the boy coldly. "What is it?" Shu Qing timidly reached into his pocket and said hesitantly, "Master Bai, I have something to ask you. Is this a Heaven's Mandate flower? I saw it in the Forbidden Zone earlier. It looked similar, so I picked it." To the master's surprise, the shape of a brilliant yellow flower was clearly visible. Master Bai's eyes narrowed in thought. He silently observed the boy opposite him, who waited blankly. But the master only remained silent for a long while before uttering, "This is not it." Hearing the answer, Shu Qing didn't question it. He bowed politely in thanks. "Thank you, Master Bai." He then quickly ran off. Master Bai watched his retreating figure after Shu Qing had left. He turned back towards the tent. Master Bai lifted the flap and stepped inside where his disciples were sitting and discussing matters. The sudden appearance of someone else made him pause. Shanhai was sitting at a table laden with fine food and wine. Master Bai spoke coldly, "Why are you here?" The man looked at him and said with great arrogance, "Master Bai, what's wrong?" Master Bai snorted coldly. "What do you mean, what's wrong?" Shanhai gave a knowing smile, leisurely swirling the wine in his cup, and began to speak enthusiastically. "What did I tell you about that kid? Like I said last time while waiting for you, I found a good seed. The boy single-handedly used thunderous methods to destroy a giant horned python." Meanwhile, Master Bai calmly lifted a flask and took a sip of wine. After hearing this, he gripped the wine flask tightly, his eyes narrowing in anger. "A good seed. The first time that brat eavesdropped, he just left. But this time, to have an excuse to eavesdrop, he actually found an herb and brought it to me, asking if it was a Heaven's Mandate flower. If this continues, I bet he'll use herbs as an excuse to eavesdrop every single day. If you hadn't told me about him, I would have chased him off long ago." Shanhai, while pouring more wine, teased, "You really have a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Knowing your nasty disposition, if you hadn't genuinely discovered that he's good material, it's useless no matter who recommends him. Are you planning on taking that kid back to your place? That place of yours is full of miasma. It'll be a waste of a good student." In a burst of anger, Grandmaster Bai retorted loudly, "How is it a waste? Under the current circumstances, learning is useless. Cultivation is the true path. If learning is useless, then why do you keep coming here to invite an ordinary person like me to your place?" Suddenly, he slapped his forehead. With a mischievous smile, he said, "I just remembered I have something to do. Grandmaster Bai, I'll be taking my leave. I'll come find you for a drink tomorrow." As he was about to leave, Shanhai looked back to offer a piece of advice. "Grandmaster Bai, if you really think that kid is good material, then teach him a bit more knowledge, won't you? The stage has been set. With just a few more words from him, the kid could have a chance to become a cultivated scholar." Everyone watched as Shanhai left. Leaving the room in a gloomy silence, an irritated Ding Yu pointed and chided, "How have you not figured it out yet? You're so dense." Fei Yuan, propping his chin up with a frown, thought, "Don't say it. I'll figure out the answer soon, I swear." Grandmaster Bai watched them, lost in thought. "I don't just take on disciples easily. In that case, I'll have to see what this kid is really made of." The next morning, rays of dawn pierced through the wooden window illuminating the room. Bathed in the brilliant golden sunlight, Shu Qing was completely focused writing on a bamboo slip. He traced along each row of characters on the slip, reading intently. Qinghei flower dew, also known as Qinglian dew, is made from the flower buds of the lotus, a member of the water lily family prepared over a gentle flame using a special method. It creates a fragrant water that soothes the lungs and treats hemoptysis caused by heat. Under the golden sun, he hunched over his gaze, pensive. The scene shifts to the encampment. Shu Qing stood quietly outside, thinking to himself, "For the next few days, I'll use asking about herbs as an excuse to listen to the lectures outside the tent. Then when I get home, I'll carve everything I heard onto bamboo slips Ever since I sold that old 7-leaf grass I brought back, I've started paying rent to Captain Lei. He refused to accept it at first, but in the end he had to. Captain Lei used most of that money to buy food so that I can come home every day and still have a hot meal to eat. During our meals, he would often tell me little stories about things that happened around the camp. Every time he told them, I felt so happy. I could listen for hours and never get bored. Thaptu and Loan. Nya came back to visit Captain Lei, but they only stayed for a few days before heading out on another mission. This was truly the most fulfilling time of my life in all these years. In the dead of night, heavy rain poured down on the tents. He stood quietly outside. Inside the tent, an oil lamp cast a warm yellow glow. Phi Nguyen glanced back and saw Huathan's shadow on the canvas wall. He thought to himself, this kid looks like nothing can stop him, not even wind or rain. Coming all the way here in this downpour just to listen in? Lost in thought watching Huathan's shadow, he was startled by a voice. Grandmaster Bok, Chen Phi Nguyen, tell me a little about the herb Ye Qian Niu. Called on so suddenly, Phi Nguyen shot up completely flustered. He stammered, unable to get the words out. Ye Qian Niu, that name? Seeing him falter, the old man's eyes narrowed sternly. Ignorant fool, din ngok you answer. She didn't fare much better, stammering after just a few words. Yes. Ye Qian Niu is also known as Dushan Genban. Teacher, I've forgotten the rest. Grandmaster Bok glanced at the two of them, then slammed his hand on the table. Outside, under the pouring rain, Huathan remained completely focused on the lesson, his concentration unbroken. The rain continued to fall without end. He silently persisted, absorbing the knowledge. Huathan's lips moved, reciting the answer flawlessly. Yes. Ye Qian Niu, also known as Dushan Genban Jiaoju, belongs to the Asteraceae family. A member of the cucumber family, Ban Jiaoju, is a woody vine that grows in shady mountain crevices along cool streams or in forests. It tastes bitter and pungent, feels slightly warm in the mouth, and has a rotten core. This herb is remarkably effective at dispelling wind and relieving colds, but an overdose is toxic. It is a classic herb that possesses both yin and yang properties. Grandmaster Bok, with his eyes still closed, continued with his difficult questions. What are the symptoms of an overdose? The symptoms of poisoning include abdominal pain, dizziness, and hallucinations. If left untreated, death occurs within 15 minutes. And the antidote? Induce vomiting and lavage the stomach. Combine this with egg whites and the pistils of the red thistle flower. The treatment must be administered at high noon when the symptoms are most pronounced. Each treatment session should not exceed half an hour and must be repeated for 3 consecutive days. The oil lamp continued to flicker. The Grandmaster stared ahead, then asked coldly, So after all this examination, are there any questions you truly wish to ask? Outside the tent, he clenched his fists, a storm of questions raging within him. After a moment of thought, Huathan took a deep breath and finally asked, Excuse me, Grandmaster Bok. Yan Suma and Yang Yangtze have similar origins and effects. So what are the key differences between them, and why can't Dingling Hua be harvested during the daytime? The sap of the Fang Kun leaf clearly has evil warding properties. So why can't it be combined with Jingming Yan, which shares the same properties? As soon as the words left his mouth, Grandmaster Bok closed his eyes and began to explain slowly. Hearing the answers, he listened intently, recording the crucial knowledge onto his bamboo slips. The night sky grew darker as the rain poured down relentlessly. When the lesson ended, Huathan bowed respectfully to say goodbye. Thank you, Grandmaster Bok, for your guidance. It's getting late. I won't disturb your rest any longer. Just as he turned to leave, the old man's voice echoed from within the tent. From now on, you don't need to stand outside, and you don't need to bring those assorted herbs anymore. Starting tomorrow, you will come inside the tent for the lessons. Hearing the offer, Huathan froze, his eyes widening as he looked back. Touched by the Grandmaster's kindness, he quickly turned and bowed deeply once more. Thank you, Grandmaster. The scene changes to the next morning's sunlight streaming over the eaves of the wooden house. During their meal, Captain Lei cheerfully raised his cup. I can't believe it, kid! To be officially accepted as Grandmaster Bok's disciple, today we have to celebrate properly for you. Are the new clothes we bought the other day enough when the time comes? I'll prepare a few more sets for you so you can go to your lessons looking clean and proper every day. With his cheeks full of food, Huathan mumbled, Thank you, Captain Lei. The captain held up a large gourd, reminding him, Also, you can't show up to your lesson empty-handed, you know. Huathan took out a heavy cloth bag, his face beaming. I have something I want to give half of my money to Grandmaster Bach for my tuition. He had wanted to give all of it, but he had to save a little for Captain Lay. Captain Lay pointed at the gourd and instructed him, I know Grandmaster Bach, he enjoys a good drink. Take this with you. Huathan quickly took the gourd and tucked it at his side. The captain watched him smiling with satisfaction. He thought, the kid wasn't even this happy when we split the 7-leaf herb. As night began to fall, he appeared in a brand new set of clothes looking very sharp. Standing before a basin of water, Huathan held up his wet hands and thought, my hands are clean now too. Captain Lay adjusted the boy's clothes and advised him warmly, if there's ever anything you don't understand, you must ask. Grandmaster Bach may seem gruff, but he's a kind man at heart. He enjoys answering questions more than anything. I understand. Have you brought everything you prepared? His small hand tightened around the gourd as he said excitedly, yes, I have it all. A moment later, Huathan walked briskly from the house. The captain watched his retreating back in silence. The boy raised a hand to wave, looking back as he walked. Captain Lay, you should go inside and rest. Captain Lay looked at Huathan with a gentle expression and said slowly, I'm feeling great. You get going now, don't be late. The boy's eyes sparkled as he strode confidently away. The captain continued to watch in silence, his expression thoughtful. His eyes filled with a mixture of faith and a hint of worry for the boy. The scene changes to outside Grandmaster Bai's tent. The weather today is beautiful and sunny. Shu Qing is also sitting inside the tent listening to the lecture with Ding Yu and Fei Yuan. From that day on, he started attending Grandmaster Bai's classes. Even after class, he would still go to the Forbidden Zone every day. The types of plants that he couldn't distinguish before, he have now become herbs he is familiar with. Applying the knowledge he has learned to identify the herbs in the Forbidden Zone has become one of the reasons why he goes to the Forbidden Zone, but most of the herbs in the Forbidden Zone are poisonous, so he built a simple hut there for research purposes. Thanks to his constitution, which allows him to neutralize toxins, he has tried many different combinations. Finally, by mixing 8 types of poisonous herbs and a poisonous snake, he created a corpse-dissolving powder. It can completely rot flesh and blood within just 5 breaths. Shu Qing then experimented with the powder he created. It really did dissolve the flesh into a pool of blood. Of course, he also used 7-leaf grass to concoct a bit of medicinal liquid that can suppress anomalous substances. But Grandmaster Bai told him, these things are fundamentally useless for Captain Lay. Besides the medicine he prescribed, which can delay the effects only the Heaven's Mandate flower can save Captain Lay. But no matter how thoroughly he searched the Forbidden Zone, he couldn't find any trace of the Heaven's Mandate flower. Shu Qing was busy searching for herbs every day, in the forest of the Forbidden Zone, but Captain Lay's condition was not looking good. He was always coughing a lot. He could only watch helplessly as Captain Lay's condition worsened day by day. Whenever he saw him coughing so violently, Shu Qing would look at him with sad eyes. 2 months passed just like that. At this time, back at the camp, Shu Qing was walking down a path. When Shu Qing approached from a distance, Warner immediately spotted him. As soon as Shu Qing reached the counter, Warner handed him a jug of wine and said, "Big bro kiddo, you're here to buy wine again. Here you go." Shu Qing reached out to take it and replied, "Thanks." Hearing him, Warner smiled brightly and cheerfully said, "You're welcome." After getting the wine, Shu Qing quickly turned to leave. He hadn't gone far when Warner called after him, "Big bro kiddo, wait." Warner walked over to him, held out a piece of candy in front of Shu Qing and continued, "Big bro kiddo, I don't know why you've been so sad lately, but whenever I'm unhappy, my mom gives me candy. If you eat this, you'll feel happy." Warner placed the candy in Shu Qing's hand and then said to him, "This is my last piece of candy. I'm giving it to you." After giving him the candy, she left. Before she left, she didn't forget to wave goodbye to him. "Big bro kiddo, you have to be happy, okay?" Shu Qing stood there. He watched her return to the tavern. He then stared at the candy she gave him for a long time. The scene changes. Shu Qing has just returned from outside. Captain Lay, who was in the courtyard, turned around. As soon as he saw him enter, he spoke up. "Buying wine for me again, huh? Not bad at all. Come on, let's eat." The two then sat down at a table laden with food. Captain Lay, holding his pipe, watched him pick up food. Then his smile suddenly vanished as he looked at Shu Qing and said, Kiddo, my body can't stay in this scavenger camp any longer. So I've bought the right to enter Songtao City. I'll pack my things tonight and set off tomorrow morning. So this room is yours now. I know your journey will definitely not stop here. You have a very bright future, so I won't ask you to come and grow old with me. Hearing this, Shu Qing's heart immediately grew heavy. He asked, "Will you come back?" Shu Qing then lowered his head in silence, not saying anything more. Captain Lei reached out and patted his head, saying, "Of course, I'll come back occasionally. After I leave, you have to be good and listen in class. Don't risk going into the Forbidden Forest anymore." Shu Qing looked up, his voice tinged with sadness. "Aren't you going to wait for Shizi and Luan Ya? They should be back soon." Captain Lei brought the pipe to his lips and replied, "I'm not waiting anymore. If they came back, they would probably just be sad like you. They can come visit me later when they have the time," saying that he turned his face away, avoiding Shu Qing's gaze. In the evening after dinner, Shu Qing was sitting in his room. He opened the window and looked up at the shining moon. Their house in the camp gradually fell into silence. Captain Lei was standing at the gate with Shu Qing. "Kid, I'm leaving." Shu Qing quickly replied cheerfully, "I'll see you off." Captain Lei replied, "No need. You should get to class." Shu Qing repeated, "I'll see you off." He insisted once more, "Let me see you off." Captain Lei sighed softly, smiling with a sense of helplessness. A scene from the past flashed through his mind. We're almost there. At that moment, Captain Lei was struggling to keep up with Shu Qing's pace. Shu Qing suddenly turned his head and realized that he looked tired. A surprised expression flashed across his face. But right after Shu Qing decided to carry Captain Lei on his back and continue. Captain Lei advised, "From now on, while you're in the camp, you have to be more wary of those scavengers. I know you're very strong now, but you can't afford to underestimate them. Scavengers, that bunch of desperados. To them, using any means necessary is just another day's work. The camp master is not a simple man. He's backed by the Vajra Sect, and the Vajra Sect is the ruling power in this vast region. And their patriarch is a Foundation establishment expert. From now on, you must be wary of this camp master. At night, don't forget to feed the dogs. Those little guys are the most trustworthy ones in the camp. Also remember to eat your meals, don't eat cold food, and don't be lazy. Remember to heat up your food before you eat. You're still a growing boy, so you can't be lazy, or you'll regret it when you're old. You'll see how tough it is, then you will. Don't sleep on the wooden bed anymore. And don't worry about the blankets and pillows getting dirty. Just remember to dry them after you wash them, you hear?" Then he mumbled softly, "And also..." But he was so tired that Captain Lei gradually drifted off to sleep. Shu Qing continued to carry him forward. After a while, the city gate inscribed with the words, "Tung Dao City," appeared before them. Captain Lei quickly put his feet down. "We're here!" He took the luggage bag that Shu Qing handed him. "Go on home, kid. If you ever miss this old man, you can come visit anytime. I live in House Bing on Huathan Street in the South City." With that, he turned his head and walked into the city with the rest of the crowd. Captain Lei stopped in front of the city gate. He handed a piece of paper to the guard. Shu Qing felt a pang of sadness as he walked away. Captain Lei waved cheerfully. "Go on, kid," the guard yelled. "Hurry up and get in. Stop dawdling." Shu Qing continued to watch Captain Lei's back as he went deeper inside until his figure disappeared into the crowd. Only then did Shu Qing slowly turn around and return home. His face was bowed low on the walk back. By the time he reached the camp, night had fallen. Shu Qing opened the gate, and the white dogs gently lifted their heads. Their expressions also seemed a bit surprised by his sorrowful face. Shu Qing walked into the house. On the table was a delicious-looking meal that had been laid out. He slowly sat down in the nearest chair. Then Shu Qing began to eat his meal, his face still without expression. Outside the window, Shan Hai was observing his actions. He's truly a boy with loyalty and a sense of duty. Elder Tian suggests, "Should our seventh family give him a token?" Shanhai replied, "Let's wait until we retrieve the Cloud Dream pattern flower that Grandmaster Bai wants from the Forbidden Zone." The two of them immediately vanished, leaving behind a quiet emptiness. The night was deep, however. The house where Shu Qing was living still had a light on. The white wolves suddenly growled at a purple gleam of light. This light was emitting from behind a gate. Suddenly, an arm reached out from the gate. The wolves immediately tucked their tails and became obedient. Shu Qing thought to himself, "It's the 8th day since Captain Lei left. My Sea Mountain art has broken through to the 5th level. According to the Sea Mountain art, every level you cultivate increases your strength by that of 1 tiger. 5 tigers make 1 bill, and 2 bills make 1 koi. But I don't know if it's because of the crystal's effect, or that 1 slash from the simulated divine visage, but I feel that my strength and speed have already reached the level of a transformed tiger. I believe when I reach the 6th level of the sea mountain art, my power will soon increase to 2 koi. When I broke through before I felt all the foreign substances merging into my shadow, because of that I always try to see if I can control it. I didn't expect that this time the shadow's finger actually managed to move, but even such simple control gives me a terrible headache. If I continue to improve my cultivation and practice controlling the shadow, it will become my unexpected trump card. The scene changes to the next morning at Grandmaster Bai's residence. Shu Qing was a little surprised when a girl approached the pavilion. Ding Yu mumbled, "You seem to have gotten taller." Shu Qing didn't say anything, just turned his head away slightly. Ding Yu immediately took out a cloth. "Kid, your face is grimy every single day, so I have no idea what you really look like."
You look different again today. No, I have to wipe it for you and see what you really look like.
"Hey, kiddo, last time you asked me to help you get time off, you owe me a favor for that." Hearing that, Shu Qing immediately stood perfectly still and let Ding Yu wipe his face. A moment later, she was done. Shu Qing's face now looked quite handsome. A faint blush appeared on Ding Yu's face. A moment later, Shu Qing walked out of Grandmaster Bai's tent. He sat down, touched the ground with 2 fingers, and then used them to smear dirt on his face. After he was done, he returned to the tent as if nothing had happened. Ding Yu complained to Grandmaster Bai. "I was kind enough to help him get clean, and he just went and got dirty again." "Master, why is this kid always so grimy?" Grandmaster Bai replied, "For someone who lives in suffering and danger, not drawing attention to oneself is a good thing." Ding Yu didn't answer, she just sighed softly with a look of pity. The scene changes to late afternoon on that day. Shu Qing thought to himself, "The last time I went to the Forbidden Zone, I found the Heaven's Mandate flower and the scar removal stone in the temple complex, so I guess I found one of them." Suddenly, a group of people in cloaks caught his attention. A young man mumbled, "It's the enforcement squad of the Lido cult." The Lido cult is a bunch of madmen. They rarely appear at the scavenger camp. Why are they here this time? I heard they're looking for someone. They've already searched every city and scavenger camp in this area. Zhu Xing suddenly drew the weapon from his hip. In front of them, a young man named Kai Yuan was walking with Huathan. The members of the Lido cult immediately knelt when they saw the 2 of them. Kai Yuan's face was a bit cold and emotionless. However, Huathan next to him looked very happy. Seeing this, Shu Qing immediately put his weapon away. He gently put his hand on the bulging pouch at his hip. Huathan looked towards the crowd in front of them. Suddenly, she tugged on Kai Yuan's cloak.
What is it?
The little girl replied.
Brother, my benefactor is over there. I'm going to go say hi to him. I'll be right back.
Shu Qing was a little surprised to see the little girl running towards him. Everyone around them quickly moved aside as Huathan ran past. "My big brother came to get me." "Big brother? Kid, do you want to leave with me?" Shu Qing didn't answer. He just gently shook his head. Huathan looked a little sad at his firm gesture.
It's okay.
We can just wait until I'm all grown up. Then we can meet again. Big brother, kid, I told you I'd repay you for saving my life, and I will definitely be able to do it. Shu Qing's eyes suddenly widened in surprise. Huathan continued cheerfully. "I have to go with my brother now, Bill. He's very good to me. He gives me whatever I need. So, do you have a big brother?" Shu Qing slowly held out a stone towards the little girl. "This stone can remove scars. Here, this is for you." Huathan's face immediately showed disbelief. A moment later, the little girl replied, "Big brother, brat, I'll definitely find you." And then, Huathan hurried back to her brother. Shu Qing silently watched her go, wishing her peace. Another 7 days passed. Before that, I had a premonition that something was about to happen. Master Bai is also about to leave. Shu Qing knelt on the ground and respectfully kowtowed to Master Bai before he left. Master Bai, through a special method, passed on the Bai Yue's moon formula to me. I know this formula is incredibly precious, something only the great clans could possibly possess as a resource. Master Bai smiled. "Child, the reason I treat you this way is because you learn well and have comprehension. As for those who rigidly follow the rules about passing down teachings, it's something I detest. But sometimes my position prevents me from deciding for myself. But you're not the first person I've passed my teachings and pill formulas to. As this old man has traveled the southern Phoenix continent, I have taught many people for the sake of the human clan's Tao. It cannot be allowed to decline simply because of the boundaries of status. Finally, between us, you must know heaven and earth are but a temporary inn for all living things. Time is a traveler passing through. From ancient times until now, only the undying will ultimately meet again. I hope that by the day we meet again, You will have achieved greatness. Shuqing had returned to his hut inside the camp. The green wine jug placed on the table looked strangely lonely. Shuqing thought to himself, now, I'm all alone again. For some reason, I couldn't stomach wine before, but today it seems to have some flavor. Thoughts of Master Bai and Ting Yu flashed through his mind, and with them Huaner's innocent question echoed. Do you have a big brother, too? Shuqing took a sip of wine. Outside the window the full moon had long since risen high. Shuqing, lost in thought, held the wine jug in his hand. Heaven and earth are but a temporary inn for all living things. Time is a traveler passing through. From ancient times until now, only the undying will ultimately meet again. Outside the window, Shanhai stroked his beard, looking very pleased. Tonight is a dark night, brilliantly lit by the reflection of the full moon. Shuqing took another sip of wine. Suddenly a sharp glint flashed in his eyes. Who's there? Shuqing immediately put down the wine jug. He looked outside his weapon already in hand, ready for a fight. His appearance is so strange. I didn't even realize when he got here. Even the stray dogs didn't bark. His strength is likely even greater than that little girl's older brother. I have to find a chance to use my poisons to escape. Suddenly a voice rang out. I mean no harm. Elder Tian thought to himself, faced with this, he doesn't panic at all. Instead, he's waiting for an opportunity to strike back. No wonder the Seventh Lord values this brat so much. He held a golden token in his hand. Elder Tian calmly tossed it toward Shuqing. Shuqing immediately launched his weapon at the person in front of him. The weapon passed right through Elder Tian's body, leaving no damage at all. Shuqing was startled, shocked by this sight. Elder Tian's body slowly faded into the void. Kid, someone asked me to give you this token. This is the qualification to join the Seven Blood Eyes. On the map on the back, no matter which designated city you're in, you just need to bring this token, and you can be teleported to the sect's gate for free one time. Shuqing muttered softly, weakness. It's truly infuriating. He then noticed the token that had fallen on the floor. Shuqing walked over to the token and picked it up. 7 Blood Eyes, one of the most brutal and powerful forces in the southern Phoenix continent. But why would they give a token to me? Could it be because of Master Bai's scene change to a beautiful morning the next day? Shuqing thought to himself, Captain Lei is gone. The little girl is gone. Master Bai is gone too. Even Shizi and Luanya haven't returned for a long time. The camp I've been attached to for so long has suddenly become so strange. So now I spend most of my time in the pharmacy in the Forbidden Zone's canyon, only returning at night to sleep. For the past few days I've gone there every day to research the formula to create the white pill. Although the complete formula has long been adjusted, I don't have enough of the medicinal herbs to concoct it, so I'm trying to use other herbs with similar medicinal properties as substitutes. However, the results have been a bit off. After a few experiments, I discovered that the white pill I created not only fails to neutralize aberrant substance, but on the contrary, it causes the aberrant substance to be rapidly drawn in. It even explodes. So I've named this medicinal pill the black pill. I hope that in the future I can use it as a type of poison while I was concocting pills. Chao, my sea and mountain art also broke through to the 6th level. The initial phantom shadow has now become a phantom with a nascent physical form. According to the description in the sea and mountain art, upon reaching the 10th level, the phantom shadow will transform into a complete physical entity after great completion. But with my condition, it might be able to form a complete physical entity at the 7th level. So what other changes will the next levels bring? After my sea and mountain art broke through, I've been able to manipulate my own shadow to touch physical objects. However, it still consumes an immense amount of spiritual power. Under my control, things touched by the shadow can be aberrated. The aberrant substance will invade the object. At this rate, sooner or later there will come a day when I can completely control it. At that time, the shadow will become my most secret trump card. Suddenly a shout rang out. There's a path here, everyone get in here quickly. Outside, a group of guards was running in a panic. Behind them, light blue jellyfish were charging forward. A few people stopped to swing their swords at them. A girl with light-colored hair just launched an attack. The swift move shot straight toward the nearest jellyfish, knocking it back instantly. Suddenly, its blue tentacles shot out. A young woman cried out in panic as she was caught. No, please don't. Her body immediately turned black and crumbled apart. Then a blue light suddenly flashed like lightning. A young man was utterly shocked as a tentacle pierced through his chest. Through the opening, Huathan spotted 3 jellyfish and a pile of bodies on the ground. He immediately assessed the situation. Those 8 guards and that teenager? Their cultivation levels are all around the 6th or 7th level of chi condensation. The rest are all below the 5th level. As for those jellyfish, I've encountered them before when I went deeper into the Divine Temple complex. With my strength back then, I was no match for them at all. But now, it's better to avoid trouble when possible. I'll wait until they're all dead before I go out. Outside, a young man was running frantically. "Uncle Bach, save me." The young man named Bach. Thuck hastily launched an attack at the jellyfish. A stream of golden light hit the jellyfish, sending it flying. Another one seized the opportunity and shot toward him. Bach Thuck's face immediately filled with panic. The door of a nearby house suddenly shattered to pieces. Huathan gritted his teeth. He charged out past them and punched the nearest jellyfish with all his might. It instantly exploded in mid-air. A sudden silence fell over the area. Bach Thuck was a bit surprised to see Huathan. "Thank you, friend, for lending a hand. I will surely repay this great debt in the future." Huathan asked, "What is Master Bach of Tutho to you?" He replied, "That's my 3rd grandfather." "You know him?" Huathan's face immediately showed surprise as he looked at the young man. "I'll keep you safe." Then he shot like an arrow towards the floating jellyfish. Huathan leaped up, giving them no time to react. His sharp-tipped weapon plunged deep into a jellyfish's body. The jellyfish instantly exploded in midair. Blue fragments flew everywhere. They fell to the ground, causing the grass and plants to wither and turn black. A worried look flashed across Huathan's face. He was startled as he looked at the 2 weapons in his hands. They were slowly disappearing, turning into black dust. Suddenly a voice called out, "Friend, use my sword!" A sword was spinning through the air from a distance. Huathan immediately caught the sword, gripping it tightly. He spun around and quickly slashed at the jellyfish. A good sword, so sharp. A single swing of his blade sliced a jellyfish in 2. Just like that, any that charged forward met the same fate of being split in 2. The onlookers broke into an uproar. "He's too strong. He's a body-tempering cultivator. What level of body tempering is this? Could he have reached great perfection, judging by the spiritual energy fluctuations? It doesn't seem like it. It looks like he's only at the 5th or 6th level. His cultivation level doesn't matter. What matters is that ruthlessness." But Huathan paid no mind to the comments around him. A powerful wave of attacks engulfed his figure. At the same time, it seemed as if 1,000 jellyfish were surrounding him. They all seemed to want to crush the resilient young man. Right at this moment, the potential within Huathan erupted. He used all his strength to fling the demonic beasts far away. The onlookers were even more astonished. His vital energy is forming an image. This is a phenomenon that only appears when body tempering reaches the level of great perfection. Behind Huathan, a powerful force emanated. His eyes were completely resolute and powerful. Seeing this, even the demonic beasts were shaken by such a formidable opponent. They chose to retreat. Huathan watched as their small figures had scattered, having no intention of pursuing them. He returned the sword and glanced at the others. "The corruption here is too dense. We can't stay long. I'll lead you out of here." And so the group of people followed in Huathan's footsteps and left. After an unknown amount of time, the group finally made it out of the forest. Everyone was ecstatic. "We finally made it out. Mother, this is great. I'm still alive." Bach Thuck was extremely grateful. "Young hero Hua, if you hadn't intervened this time, we would have all certainly died in that forbidden area. Logically, we should properly reward you, young hero Hua, but right now the corruption in everyone's bodies is very thick. We need to quickly use the transportation formation in the nearby city to return to Tutho and recuperate." He offered his sword to him. "We came here this time and to train on a whim. We don't have anything of great value on us right now. I will not forget your great kindness. This sword, I hope young hero Hua can accept it." He then clasped his hands in a formal bow. "In the future, if young hero Hua ever comes to Tutho, just come find me. I will surely have a proper reward for you then," said Bach Thuck. He left cheerfully, not forgetting to wave goodbye to Huathan. He silently admired the sword in his hand. Separating from the group, Huathan walked off alone in another direction. Wandering the city streets, the crowd was full of strangers, and they all exuded a strange, indescribable air. He could feel that everyone around seemed to be looking at him. "That person is just pointing toward my house." Before the crowd's gaze, Huathan silently lowered his head deeply and walked straight on. In a small courtyard, several constables sat around a table. These men caught his attention, and a suspicion arose in his heart. "I've seen that goat-bearded fellow before. Captain Lay said he was one of the camp lord's men. What are they doing here?" His pace quickened unconsciously. A strong hand pushed open the door in front of him. As soon as he saw the situation, Huathan knew something was wrong. As soon as Thaptu saw him, he said, "Kid Captain Lay's in trouble." He barely got the words out before he started coughing violently, which worried him. "What happened?" Lon Nha supported Thaptu and began to explain, in his early years, Captain Lay lived in an ordinary family. "In a city very far from here," she slowly recounted. "Captain Lay had decent aptitude and once served as a guard for that city. He was highly regarded by the city lord. The captain's life was actually quite good. He even had a fiancée, his childhood sweetheart. But the peace didn't last long, and then everything changed. After a convoy entered that fortress, the good life ended. It's unclear exactly what happened, but Captain Lay's fiancée died while he barely escaped with his life, forced to leave his home and become a scavenger." Huaking listened in silence, occasionally showing a hint of surprise. Captain Lay had originally come to Pine Isle City not just to live out his retirement. It was also because he had seen that old horse-drawn carriage in the camp. Inside it, he saw the very enemy he thought he had killed with his own hands. Seeing that his foe was still alive, Captain Lay didn't seek revenge, worried that it would involve us. So he chose to rush to Pine Isle City thinking everything would be fine. Unexpectedly, the camp master learned of Captain Lay's grudge with the person in the carriage. Not only did he drag Captain Lay back from Pine Isle City, but he also gave him away as a gift to his partner, to that very enemy of Captain Lay. Lon Nha lowered her head. "They're from the Night Scarlet. They want to turn Captain Lay into a vessel for a treasured object to absorb the impurities from the magical artifact." Hearing this, the anger in Hua Qing's eyes could no longer be contained. Seeing he was about to leave, she quickly stopped him. "Someone on the camp master's side owes me their life from 2 days ago. After Lon Nha and I returned, that person secretly tipped us off. Only then did we find out and immediately went to save him, but we failed." Huaking gripped the hilt of his sword, burning with a sky-high fury as he drew it from its sheath. The camp master, the convoy. The cold, sharp blade glinted as he stepped out of the gate, already surrounded by a group of men. Lon Nha's voice still called out from behind. "Kid, we need to discuss this carefully. But she was immediately cut off. "No need." All they saw was a weapon flying through the air. It carried a human body with it slamming like a projectile against the opposite wall and pinning it there. Seeing this, the other men were both furious and afraid. Hua Qing strode fearlessly out of the gate alone as the men shouted, "Get him all at once!" But just a second later, the loudest one paid the price. A single slash across his throat, and he could no longer make a sound. He quickly took down one man, then rushed towards the others. His figure shot up, somersaulting through the air. As he landed, another man fell. His movements were swift and decisive. Wherever Hua Qing passed, his opponents fell. The blade always struck the most vital point. Of course, some fought back, but he easily parried their attacks. Unable to land a single hit on Hua Qing, the man panicked. The spike in Hua Qing's hand simply thrust forward. In no time, no one was left standing around him. Even so, the killing intent in Hua Qing didn't diminish in the slightest. In fact, it grew stronger. "All of you deserve to die." Only one man who had been observing from the side was terrified after seeing the spectacle. He turned tail and ran for his life, trying to find an escape route. Perhaps in his panic, he stumbled several times. The sword pinning the first man was pulled free. He strode closer to the survivor. The man trembled with fear. "Kid, are you trying to start a riot?" Without another word, Hua Qing killed him. Shizi, struggling with his injured body, managed to reach the gate. Both he and Lon Nha were stunned by the scene outside. He gripped the sword tightly in his hand, not looking back, his brow never unfurrowing for a moment. "I'm going to save Captain Lay." Meanwhile, in another place, Shi Yuan sat leisurely sipping tea. He glanced at the person next to him. "Master Sun, no need to worry. This will be resolved within the time it takes an incense stick to burn. A scavenger, no matter how capable, is no match for our sect's cultivators." The old man listened to Shi Yuan while looking thoughtfully at the teacup in his hand. "I originally intended to nurture this child properly, and if he proved his worth, I would have recommended him to the sect, but since he's so reckless, I'll just kill him." Finally, Master Sun put down his teacup. "Is better than being alive." Outside, Huathan had arrived at the gate sword in hand. Without a word, he attacked. A single slash carrying powerful magical energy, and all the men blocking the gate clutched, their throats with no strength left to resist. Qianghu and Elder Mo watched from a rooftop. Interesting. He's a body cultivator like me, but only at the 6th or 7th level. He must be stronger than that useless archer and that woman. Not looking as excited as him, the old man's weary body was only concerned with one thing. You or me? Qianghu spat out the blade of grass he was chewing. He stood up. This is the territory of you Vajra Sect guys. And that campmaster is an elder of the Vajra Sect. Naturally, the newly appointed elder of the Vajra Sect should go first. The two figures caught Huathan's attention. His small hand lifted, pointing towards the two of them. Without a word, he simply gestured for them to come at him. Elder Mo's expression darkened. Arrogant! He dropped down from the roof, his figure rushing towards him as a hazy smoke emanated from his body. He didn't evade, but met him head-on. As Huathan's figure shot forward, a giant skull materialized behind him. Seeing this, Elder Mo paused for a moment, then quickly adopted a defensive stance. A key shield. The massive head directly bit down on the orb Elder Mo had created. Initially, the old man was very confident. Kiddo, don't waste your time, you can't break through my defense. But the words had barely left his mouth when he saw his chi shield crack. Just like that, the skull bit through his defense. Elder Mo was thrown back his old body, down still reeling from the shock. He clenched his teeth, veins popping on his face, his expression contorted with rage. How dare you, you little brat, watch me take control! The white smoke from before began to circulate around Elder Mo's body, seemingly containing a faint purple chi within. It entered his body with the wind. His eyes suddenly bulged, his blood vessels swelling as if about to burst. A metallic taste of blood filled his mouth, and finally Elder Mo spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He trembled as he pointed at Huathan. You! He seized the opportunity, rushing in front of the old man. The sword in his hand swung again. In an instant, he finished his opponent. Elder Mo's head tumbled to the ground. Qianghu, watching from above, saw everything. Are all members of the Vajra Sect this useless? They even have to show off by using some technique. To leap into the air when attacking. Not only do they lose the initiative, they also underestimate their opponent, letting the enemy unknowingly inhale a large amount of his poison. That guy caused more trouble than he was worth. He deserved to die. Huathan once again made a taunting gesture at his opponent. The man calmly took out a small vial. He poured out a dozen or so medicinal pills from inside, then swallowed them all without hesitation. Qianghu suddenly realized another problem. No. These are just some pills to counteract the poison inside the body. What if I'm unlucky enough to get injured and the poison enters my bloodstream? We still need a breakthrough. His muscular body suddenly swelled up a bit. He let out a deafening roar. Die! The power tiger immediately charged in to fight. Xuxing charged forward without the slightest hesitation to meet the attack. The two of them crashed into each other head-on. It was an even match despite the significant difference in their physical builds. The power. Tiger was silently shocked. The explosive power of the boy in front of him was astonishing. The boy's other hand swung out in a punch which was blocked by the man's arm. Xuxing's small frame relentlessly unleashed a flurry of blows. Soon they were fighting with earth-shattering force. The entire courtyard was filled with rising dust. The power tiger was constantly pushed back, his limbs growing weak. His strength and speed were no match for the boy's. And my recovery ability is even worse. If this keeps up, I'll definitely die. The boy gave him no quarter, rushing forward again to land another punch on the brute's arm. The concentrated force made the power tiger cry out in pain. Not stopping there, Xuxing brought his knee up. He landed a direct blow to the man's face. The immense force caused cracks to appear on his skull. His opponent lay motionless on the ground, unable to get up. Xuxing glanced at the crowd behind him. They were instantly terrified. The entire group scattered in panic. Xuxing walked defiantly towards the large gate. His eyes still radiated killing intent. The small figure stood before the gate, staring at it for a moment. Half a second later, the sealed gate several times Xuxing's size exploded into pieces. A single punch from him had taken care of it. Just then, a powerful force erupted from within, pushing Xuxing back. He retreated several steps before finally steadying himself. Xuxing looked up towards the gate. 3 figures appeared. Master Sun and Tai Yuan walked out carrying another person. With a single glance, Shu Qing recognized Captain Lei. He seemed so weak he couldn't even hear his name being called. The glaring sun shone down on the eaves as both sides stood facing each other in silence. No one spoke a word. In front of them lay their subordinates motionless on the ground. Tai Yuan frowned deeply. A bunch of useless trash. His eyes narrowed, exuding a sinister aura. Shu Qing's attention, however, was fixed on something else, the man being dragged like a corpse in the old man's hand. Captain Lei had fallen into their hands completely lifeless. His face darkened. He took a step forward as a powerful aura emanated from Tai Yuan. The phantom image behind him was tall and intimidating. Without wasting words, Tai Yuan charged directly at him. His punch was swiftly dodged by Shu Qing. Even so, Tai Yuan continued his assault. His large body and immense spiritual pressure unleashed a continuous stream of attacks, all of which were neutralized by the boy. In a final strike, their two fists met head-on. Both were thrown back. Shu Qing, keeping an eye on Captain Lei, intentionally retreated a few more steps. He successfully closed the distance to Master Sun, which inadvertently made his opponent a little smug. "Kid, I thought you were some kind of prodigy, but it turns out you're nothing special." Tai Yuan once again activated his latent power, First Form Diamond, and charged at Shu Qing without hesitation. His body was several times larger than the boy's. Though small, Shu Qing still managed to withstand his opponent's punch. His feet found the right distance to stop his shadow stretching long on the ground. Tai Yuan was a bit surprised. "I can't believe he withstood 2 of my attacks." In that case, the chi around his body circulated once more. "Second Form Diamond!" He threw a full-power punch toward Shu Qing. The sunlight cast the boy's shadow behind him, getting closer and closer to where Captain Lei and the old man were standing. His eyes flickered. "Now!" Shu Qing seized the opportunity and dodged his attack. Tai Yuan saw through his intention and immediately gave chase with his arms outstretched. Trying to run, the two of them, one in front and one behind, were suspended in midair. That was also when Shu's shadow touched Captain Lei's body. A dark chi crept around the man. The boy's hand strained as the poison chi slowly spread to Master Sun's hand in an instant. The old man felt a burning sensation in his hand and hurriedly let go of the person he was holding. He looked at his hand, not knowing when he had been hit. The plan had gone exactly as Shu Qing intended. Tai Yuan didn't give him time to react. "Where do you think you're looking?" A dark figure closed in on Shu Qing in a flash. His powerful palm strike came crashing down, making it difficult for the boy to evade. Even so, Shu Qing's hand still tightly gripped his short dagger. His whole body crashed down, shaking the entire area. Using the cover of the thick dust, he calculated his landing spot precisely and managed to grab Captain Lei's hand. With the last of his strength, Shu Qing yelled, "Luanya! Catch!" At the same time, he threw the man's body into the air. Captain Lei was thrown even higher than the roof. He was quickly caught by the other two. Only then did Master Sun notice something unusual. "Your shadow." Shu Qing didn't explain, only wiping the dirt from his face. When he was done, he looked directly at his opponent. "Now it's my turn." Shu Qing swiftly charged forward. From behind, Tai Yuan gave chase, shouting, "Your opponent is me!" Master Sun was casting a technique to counter him. Demon Whale Art. A hazy stream of chi radiated from the old man's hand. A demon was summoned forth. Shu Qing was trapped in a difficult situation. Pinned from both the front and back, he gritted his teeth in frustration. Shu Qing's hand clenched into a fist. A powerful, sharp aura erupted from his entire body. A second later, it exploded outwards. An illusion was created from Shu Qing's vital energy. Seeing this, Tai Yuan whispered in fear. He formed a projection from his vital energy. By now, the boy had raised both hands to shield his face. The next second, he swung his arms out forcefully, controlling the projection. It immediately split and ran in 2 directions. One side rushed toward Tai Yuan, and in the next instant sent him flying with a single punch. The demon from the whale art was terrified by this sight. At the same time, the other projection also rushed towards it. The fist aimed straight for Master Sun and charged forward, landing a direct hit right in the old man's face. Master Sun coughed up blood and flew backward. He was sent flying even more violently than Tai Yuan. Fortunately, Master Sun was agile and managed to land safely. He gritted his teeth and silently assessed himself. "I'm okay." Master Sun was a bit apprehensive. "If it weren't for this protective talisman, I'm afraid that punch would have seriously injured me." Shu Qing then coughed up blood from overexerting himself. I still pushed myself too hard. He felt like all his internal organs were churning. He raised a hand to wipe the blood from the corner of his lips, but Shu Qing's eyes were filled with determination. I can't stop. Then, he quickly charged forward again. Seeing this, Master Sun shouted provocatively, "You're courting death." The next second, he single-handedly summoned about 10 demons. Master Sun pointed, ordering them to fight Shu Qing. The demons immediately charged forward full of aggression and surrounded him. Shu Qing had already planned for this, however. At the 7th level of chi condensation, what can mere evil spirits do to me, he thought. He threw a powerful punch at Venerable Sun's shield. The impact sent a shockwave through the air, and in the next second a tear began to form down the middle of the talisman. Venerable Sun began to panic. No. He clasped his hands together to form a seal, taking a deep breath to gather his strength. His entire body tensed as he struggled to defend. Then his eyes blazed, and he shot out countless blood arrows in response to the situation. Shu Qing crossed his arms to block his eyes filled with killing intent. His face twisted with absolute hatred as he once again used his chi and blood phantom to strike. Chi and blood slowly gathered in his fist, and then he unleashed another powerful punch. This time, Venerable Sun coughed up blood. His whole body grew weak and trembled, veins bulging on his forehead in terror. Venerable Sun started calling for his ally. Zhang Xiuan, what are you still standing there for? Xiuan, however, was busy calculating. His protective talismans were extremely effective. They could resist magical arts and even directly block attacks from body cultivators. However, the resonant force from the barrage might be too much for his body. Its foundation was already damaged, and he wouldn't be able to withstand it for long. With that thought, he immediately charged forward. Shu Qing was still frantically smashing the shield, and the barrage of punches was causing it to crack. Venerable Sun trembled desperately, trying to hold on. One hand clutched his throat. He couldn't even form the words, consumed by fear. He didn't want to die. Just then, Shu Qing raised both hands high, preparing to pour all his strength into a final blow. The moment his hands came down, a shattering sound rang out. Venerable Sun's shield fluctuated violently, and his entire body went rigid for a moment. Venerable Sun's eyes widened in disbelief. In the next second, a spray of fresh blood appeared, covering the entire shield. Shu Qing was panting from exhaustion. His hand suddenly swung up with fierce determination, but this time it was blocked by Xiuan. Instantly, Shu Qing's whole body was injured. The momentum of the blow sent him flying far into the distance. As soon as Shu Qing hit the ground, dust and smoke enveloped him. The smoke grew thicker and thicker. In a corner of the courtyard, the crowd stood and watched wide-eyed. Everyone was stunned by the scene. A moment later, Shu Qing's figure slowly emerged from the dust and smoke. He was now heavily injured, and yet Shu Qing's eyes were still filled with fierce determination. Faced with this, even Xiuan felt a tremor of fear. He quickly shouted, trying to persuade him, "Hey kid, why don't we stop here? Captain Lei has been saved, and this guy is dead. We don't need to continue this dangerous fight. Besides, I am an elder of the Diamond Sect. If you continue to fight me to the death, that would be the same as declaring war on the Diamond Sect." Xiuan even added a threat. "My sect's patriarch is a Foundation establishment expert." Hearing this, Shu Qing remained silent. He suddenly coughed up blood. He quickly wiped the blood away with his hand. Xiuan's eyes grew wary. He seized the opportunity and lunged forward, his fist already cocked back. Third form of the Diamond Fist. Shu Qing's hand lifted slightly, brimming with spiritual energy. In the next second, his entire body was enveloped in purple chi and blood. Shu Qing's face contorted slightly as if he realized something. He pictured it in his mind, swinging this blade down. I've imitated it countless times, but have never actually used it before. Now his hand was still raised perfectly straight. Xiuan was screaming insanely, "Die!" At that moment, one could see Shu Qing condensing his chi and blood into a blade. His face was resolute. I can use it now. He brought down a powerful slash. Xiuan, who was in mid-charge, had to stop in his tracks for a second. The people nearby were also hit by the powerful shockwave. Then a massive explosion occurred, and blinding dust and smoke enveloped the entire house. Everyone stared intently, waiting for the outcome of the battle. Then what happened next shocked them. They only saw Xiuan's figure still standing silently even after the dust had settled. He remained standing there, Huathan spoke softly, "This blade." In the next second, a crack appeared on his body. His eyes widened in shock. The result was predictable. Huathan was gone. Xuqing's slash had also carved a 1,000-foot-deep hole, right in the middle of the courtyard. Scene change. In the dark of night, a crow was scavenging for food. 2 crows were eating the corpse of some creature on the ground. Once finished, they flew away. The scene here had also become desolate and messy. Beneath a small hole, someone was alive. Blood slowly trickled from a pair of pale white hands. Xuqing had been bandaging his own wounds for the past few days. He had been trying to evade the pursuit of the Diamond Sect. He had originally planned to go to the 7 Blood Eyes for protection. He recalled that time. He was discovered by the Diamond Sect while on the road. What was even more shocking was that their Foundation establishment stage ancestor had personally appeared to try to kill him. A white-bearded old man appeared hunting Xuqing. Then an explosion occurred. Luckily, thanks to a protective talisman he had acquired at the time, I managed to escape a dire situation. He observed the wounds on his body and thought to himself, "With my current strength, I have absolutely no chance of fighting back against that ancestor. Luckily, after all this travel and exertion on the road today, I hope to achieve a breakthrough in my cultivation level." With that thought, Xuqing began to cultivate. He began to delve deep into the 7th level of the sea and mountain art. Just then, someone was still flying in the sky. The old man jumped down, landing with a thud. Patriarch Jin scouted the area, muttering to himself as he walked, "That brat runs fast." Although he's only at the chi condensation stage, his chances of survival in such a dangerous situation are incredibly slim. Even so, Patriarch Jin was still worried. But I won't be at ease until I see his dead body with my own eyes. Suddenly he sensed something. Someone was appearing up ahead. Patriarch Jin immediately launched himself high into the air. He flew up to get a panoramic view of the scene below. His eyes widened in even greater shock. From atop a building, something was rising up. Next, it floated like a giant phantom. Its sharp gaze swept over the spot where Patriarch Jin was standing. It seemed the old man realized he had been exposed. He was startled. A second later, Patriarch Jin quickly fled. Inside the cave, the familiar purple spiritual energy was gradually accumulating. Xuqing was still focused on his cultivation. His entire body emanated a powerful aura. His eyes suddenly snapped open, filled with killing intent. His chi and blood phantom roared along with him. This time, Xuqing seemed to have become much stronger. The phantom was even more imposing and majestic. Then he stood up proudly. Xuqing looked at his hands, assessing. Sea and mountain art 7th level, complete. He evaluated his own strength. I feel that my current power is more than double what it was before. He had already made his calculations. Even though the power gap between them and a Foundation establishment ancestor was still immense, escaping was no longer an impossible task. From his bag, Xuqing took something out. If I leave here and get to the nearest 7 Blood Eyes branch, Deerhorn City... But he couldn't afford to hesitate. The fact that a person like that wasn't killed posed a very worrying threat. Scene change. A talisman thrown by someone flew swiftly through the air. A second later, it created a massive explosion, filling the area with smoke and fire. Several people quickly fled upon witnessing this scene. There are too many variant beasts in this forbidden zone. It's really hard for us to fight and search for someone at the same time. At that moment, a spear flew towards them. Thankfully, someone used ice to block it, but a dark shadow immediately appeared behind them, gliding past Xuqing's phantom, its mouth wide open, ready to swallow the 2 of them whole. He swiftly threw a punch, controlling his phantom. The next second, he had taken the group out instantly. Ancestor Jin heard the noise and turned his head to look. The ancestor rushed over anxiously. "This is bad." A streak of light shot through the air. One guy who had survived the earlier punch was looking dazed. He stared in confusion at the person lying on the ground. Xuqing landed and approached him. The next second, he quickly lunged towards the remaining man. Suddenly, Xuqing noticed something was off. His hand immediately retracted his weapon. Then Xuqing turned and left. The other guy was baffled, not understanding what was happening. Just then, a shadow covered the spot where he stood. He whipped his head around to see a ghost woman appearing with thousands of spirits. It seemed as if she was weeping tragically. Ancestor Jin had also arrived by now. He stood at a distance, looking at her, also bewildered. The other guy was still standing there, dumbfounded, not knowing what to do, and then his soul was taken by the ghost woman. It transformed into a wisp of energy, weaving through the crowd of spirits, then settled into an empty spot. A moment later, from that spot, something began to rise up. That man had officially joined the ranks of those spirits. His face showed deep sorrow, yet he was unyielding. Ancestor Jin stared in disbelief at the scene before him. Shuqing also turned his head back, a look of surprise on his face. A second later, he quickly resumed his escape. The ghost woman had approached Ancestor Jin. The old man stood frozen, not daring to do anything. Her voice echoed softly a warning. "Don't move, or you'll end up just like him." Hearing this, he stood perfectly still, not moving a single muscle. In a flash, the ghost woman ignored him and flew away. As her figure faded into the distance, Ancestor Jin let out a sigh of relief. He glanced around, wondering, why didn't that thing go after the kid? How strange. Suddenly his tone turned harsh. That kid cannot be allowed to live. After that, Ancestor Jin quickly gave chase. The town had been mercilessly destroyed. Ancestor Jin was busy flying high above, searching for Shuqing. The ancestor thought to himself, for a Foundation establishment cultivator to have to be so cautious with a mere chi condensation cultivator, it was truly beneath his dignity. His eyes were filled with killing intent. But this kid gives me a very strange feeling. To be safe, I'll trail him from behind and wait until dawn before I make my move to eliminate him. Suddenly, Ancestor Jin realized something. He had noticed something unusual. Compared to the previous area, the miasma here was much thicker, yet there were very few variant beasts. Something's not right. He immediately stopped. I can't chase him any further. Whoosh. Finally, Ancestor Jin turned and fled. Shuqing noticed this and thought, it's too late to retreat now. The next second, he directly threw several spheres towards the ancestor. A dark explosion erupted, obscuring the entire sky. Then a vortex appeared in the air. Ancestor Jin was baffled by this action. What is he doing? He's in the area with the highest concentration of anomalous matter. Even if he doesn't get mutated to death, he'll be torn to shreds by the monsters he attracts. Suddenly, the ancestor gasped as if he'd seen something. The strange, ghostly energies had been completely absorbed by him. The space became strangely clear. Suddenly, from the buildings, several dark figures appeared. Ancestor Jin's eyes widened with vigilance. A second later, he swiftly retreated, dodging a series of dark figures that shot up as if they had just been released. Dozens of variant beasts flew erratically towards the black hole from earlier, their eyes filled with frenzy. Then they all leaped into the air at once. This time, the variant beasts were heading for Ancestor Jin. Once again, he was completely bewildered. What is happening? Where did that kid go? While he was hesitating, the horde of variant beasts was closing in. He quickly struck down a few that got too close. They hit the ground upon impact, creating plumes of white smoke. They lay motionless as if they had been defeated. But the next second, they suddenly stirred and rose to their feet. The variant beasts continued to fly forward, searching for their prey. The town, already desolate, became even more ravaged than ever. At this moment, the arm of a wooden variant beast reached out. It stood before this place, observing its prey. But just a moment later, it slowly brought its hand forward, fumbling around everywhere. Unexpectedly, this variant beast had unleashed its power everywhere. Its body split into small wooden splinters that plunged into the ground. With such a wide range, it was scanning the area. It just kept using its hands to move and probe everywhere. At this time, Ancestor Jin flew over and looked a bit stunned. Ancestor Jin, in utter disbelief, asked, "What in the hell are all these things?" At that moment, among the silent, abandoned houses on the ground, there was a mysterious crevice. Even into a place as small as that, this wooden variant beast had already reached down to the other side. Huathan was running headlong as if desperately searching for something. His only thought was that while the monsters were all gathered at the Diamond Sect's ancestors' location, he had to leave the Forbidden Zone. That was all Huathan cared about right now. I just need to get past the city wall and I can get out of here. Suddenly, as he passed a certain spot, a noise made him freeze. He turned to look, and abruptly sensing something, he looked up in astonishment. The figure of a strange beast appeared before Huathan. As soon as this demon-eye beast appeared, it let out bizarre crying sounds. Seeing it, he thought in terror, this is bad. The demon-eye beast continued to cry, but unexpectedly a moment later the faces on its body began to smile. Then it started repeating the words, "Thank you." Seeing this, Huathan was completely baffled. Then as one of the faces spoke, saying, "Thank you," he finally remembered. He thought, that face, it looks so familiar. It's him. But after that, the beast didn't say anything else. It paused, saying nothing more. Amidst his bewilderment, the demon-eye beast turned and left. He simply watched this demon beast leave and suddenly understood. So they were the ones I cremated back then. He recalled what Captain Loy had once said. Do you know why I offered twice to take you with me when we were in the city ruins? Back then, the captain had told him bluntly, it's because I saw you when you were cremating the bodies. Next to the flames, you seemed to become one with the fire, which made me feel as if I saw a glimmer of warmth in this cruel world. Remembering that Huathan bowed respectfully, he even offered a word of thanks to the captain in his mind. Thank you. Afterwards, Huathan continued on his journey, pressing forward along the long road. The next morning, at a city near a snowy mountain, stood old Ancestor Kim. He was using his power to fly there at top speed. At that moment, old Ancestor Kim gritted his teeth in frustration, thinking, to think that I acted personally and still couldn't kill that brat. In the future, his revenge will be unavoidable. Just as he arrived at his destination, old Ancestor Kim stopped and descended. But when he looked up, he was horrified. Everything in this place looked as if it had been utterly destroyed. The people were suppressing their grief as they cleaned up the catastrophic scene. Seeing this, old Ancestor Kim couldn't contain his emotions, losing all control as he asked, what happened here?